Yo, what is going on, Papa Fam? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Let's Vibe Code With Me series. Welcome back. If you're watching from a replay, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, if you're watching us live, drop a message in the live chat where you're watching from right now. We're going to dive straight into this one. It's going to be a pretty huge app, so you guys can feel free to code along with me. I don't know why my Stream Deck isn't wanting to work the second I go live. Oh, come on, okay. But let me know where you're watching from right now. We're going to go ahead and jump into, there we go, it's working now. All right, we're going to dive into the B2B multi-tenant SaaS app. Okay, so this is going to be a full-fledged multi-tenant app. It's going to be absolutely crazy. This is one of the biggest apps that we've built on the channel, but we're going to be doing it with a slight spin on things. We're going to be doing it with zero prep. So everything is going to be from the ground up. We're going to basically go ahead and plan everything in front of you. We're going to go ahead and code everything in front of you. And I'm going to show you how you can do the exact same thing too from the get-go. So we're going to go ahead and dive into things straight up. So you guys can see right here. 1 second. I've got a weird little quirk with my stream right now, but we're pretty good. Okay, so let's dive into the app right now. So we're going to be building Slack, right? So effectively, if you ever use Slack or Teams or any of this stuff, you'll know how it pretty much works. But the way in a nutshell for someone who's never ever heard of this stuff is effectively you have different companies. So in this case, we have A1 company. There's a little drop down and then you can basically select between different companies. Also, welcome from Kenya. What's up, dude? Once you select between different companies, you have different members inside of an organization. This is known as multi-tenancy, right? Now, once we have that, each different organization needs to have its own billing plan. So that's one layer of complexity. It has to have its own members, and then you're talking invite flows, all of that stuff. You're also talking about, how to charge the right people, make sure that someone's got the right permissions inside of their organization. All of those layers are going to be built today, right? As well as all of the chat functionality. We're talking channels. We're talking about how channels can belong to different organizations. All of those layers are going to be covered in today's build. And like I said, not a single bit of planning has been done before. So I'm going to do everything from the ground up, which changes the dynamic a lot, right? So we haven't actually done that a lot on this channel. So this is the second time we're doing that. And welcome from Ghana as well. What's up? We got Lagos, Nigeria, and we got Frank. Yo, what's good, Frank? Some OGs in the house. Good to see you here. I hate when YouTube just decide to change the layout of everything because I can't see what's going on the other screen anymore, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, let's go ahead and see. And feel free to drop your questions. I'll answer it throughout the stream, right? So we're going to go ahead and dive into this one right now. So heading over to how we're going to power up this app. That's the first thing I want to talk about. And even before that, we're going to actually do a little kind of, a full sketch out. Like I said, this app is not planned. So we're basically going to go ahead and build everything from the ground up. Okay. So first things first, how do we power that authentication now? Okay. So the authentication, let me turn the music right down. Right, how do we power the authentication now? So in this case, this. So we have B2B in this case. So we have actual organizations with lots of users beneath them, okay? So first things first, we have Clerk, right? Clerk are absolutely incredible. If you have any questions about Clerk, feel free. Now is the time to ask in the chat, okay? Also, what's up, Brazil? I can see Brazil tuning in. This is awesome. Everyone's starting to wake up and get involved. Okay, so in this case, we go down here, you guys can see what Clerk are all about. So firstly, they handle everything authentication. Now, here's my biggest qualm or pet peeve when it comes to authentication, right? So many people will try their best to rebuild authentication. Also, what's up, Marine from Texas? Good to see you, right? Everyone will try to go ahead and build it from scratch. Guys, just trust me when I say it's just not worth it. Go ahead and outsource it because by the time you do all of that, no one's going to clap. No one's going to give you a round of applause. It's a standard. And then you have to build the whole product on top. Clerk handle this, they're professionals at this, and they have incredibly generous plans, right? So in this case, it's stupid not to use them, in my opinion. We use them for everything, okay? So in this case, I highly recommend you use them. I've got tons of videos coming out on them, and especially today, you're gonna see why it's so powerful because we're talking about multi-tenancy. So this is when we have organizations. Now, we did get a question which says, can you have more than one organization? Absolutely. You can have, honestly, 1, 10, 100 organizations. Everything is going to be built into today's tutorial. Now, the first thing that you need to do to go ahead and get set up, hey, look at that. Yo, Frank has been a member for 43 months. Papa Fam never slacks, bro. Huge build. Thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate you so much. We also have Amino Lee. He goes, awesome, Sunny. Good to see you again. Welcome back to the channel. Hey, that's it. Now we got the chat popping off again. I was thinking it's a bit early and everyone's being a bit quiet this morning, but we're good now. All right, so At this point, what I want you to do is first, link in the description, go ahead and sign up. So go ahead and go to the following link. I'm going to pop it on the screen as well. Just give me 1 second. So go ahead and head over to this link right now. So go.clerk.com/sunny, right? It is sponsored, yes, but it's going to go ahead and help me create more videos like this on the channel. So go ahead and use that link because it tells them that you came from us. So create your account and then we can go ahead and fly forward, right? But yo, Frank, that's crazy. 43 months, absolutely nuts. Damn. So I've already got an account with these, with Clerk. So you can go ahead and set your account up as first time. And once you have done that, if you've got a previous account with them, you'll just have the following pop up, like, a previously opened project. But in this case, head over to the top, click on create application. And then the first thing you want to do is go ahead and just call it whatever you want to call it. So the first person to give me a decent name in the chat, I don't know what you're going to get, but go ahead and drop it in the chat, right? So I need a name for this app. I'm going to go ahead and, okay, I'm going to give you guys like 5 minutes to go ahead and decide that, right? While we plan it out. Give me a name in the chat. And whoever gets first with a decent name, I'll go ahead and put that as the name of this whole build. All right, Marine for Texas goes, go Franks, awesome stuff. Message me. Oh, okay, message me is pretty good. Okay, so we've got message me as the contender right now. Unless something comes along, which is better than that. Slacky, oh, I think it's too close. It's too close to the other one, right? We don't want any legal stuff going on here. So in this case, we're gonna go with, let's get a little tang on it. Messagely. Let's do Messagely. Right? I don't know if that's an app, but if it is, I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead and go down, but welcome, basically, Marine from Texas won that one, right? Go ahead and select your authentication methods. With Clerk, it's easy. You just toggle each one that you want. Go ahead and then click on create application. Now, there's a couple of setup steps that we need to do before we can actually kickstart things off. Now, like I mentioned, Clerk handle a ton of stuff for us. They handle the user authentication, and they also handle the organizations, and they even handle the billing. So literally everything that's hard is basically handled for us out the box. I appreciate you so much, Ismail. He goes, I just love your work. Why aren't you replying to me? So I didn't see your message, dude, but welcome, dude, to the stream. So in this case, we've got this up and running. What I want you to now do is go to organizations. Click on enable organizations. Now here you can see enable your users to create organizations, manage team members, and control access with role-based permissions. Okay. He goes, love it, Messagely. All right, we got the approval from the big man. There you go. All right. Mina Lee says, can you at least package up and list the skills used and where you download them? Yes, 100%. So today I'm giving you a full breakdown, right? So I'm trying to run you through the steps, but we're going to be running through the AI side of things, how to AI vibe code this correctly, right, the right way, how to go ahead and get the right skills, plugins, all that stuff, and how to go ahead and get them. The prompts I'm going to be using, the plan that I'm going to be creating, everything is going to be straight through, right? So we're going to help you out with all of that. Right, so enable organization, step one. And I want you guys to understand that you've got different options here, right? We want membership required because you need to be a part of an organization to be inside of Messagely, okay? Enable. Now, over here, I want you guys to pay attention. I don't often talk about this enough, but we're in development mode by default, okay? Once we're go ahead and deployed, you need to go ahead and click on create production instance. And then you can either clone the development instance, which is the easiest, okay? Or you can create a default and then customize it yourself, okay? Now, the premium stuff requires a paid plan, but just know that the reason why I love Clerk is they've done something which I don't see many companies do very well. They've gone ahead and then given you access to all the features while you're deving. So you can literally test every single part of this, Clerk ecosystem out. And then only when you come to use it, first, you got a huge generous tier. You like literally get 50,000 monthly active users for free. Like 50,000. Like the next time someone says Clerk's expensive, I'm gonna like 50,000. Crazy, right? If you can't make money on 50,000 users, you are doing something wrong besides questioning your authentication. Okay. So next step, after we enabled organizations, we want to go to billing, and then I want you to click on enable billing, right? So we are going to have some billing. I haven't decided what we're going to add in. So again, this is all open for you guys to help me out with. Enable organization billing. We're not going to do user billing. We're going to do organization billing here. And then we're going to create the account. Okay, there we go. Now creating the plan, we can decide afterwards, right? Someone says which agent is best. I would say in this case, I'm going to be using Opus today on Cursor. But again, there is no preference, but I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks on what to do in case you don't have access to that, right? Now for the backend, we are going to be using Convex today, right? So Convex will set up in a moment. But the main thing is that I want you to do is, like I said, just sign up with that link, have an account ready, and then we can start, starting to move ahead. Now, I got a very good question here, which I actually want to address. because I think a lot of you are probably in this situation right now. And I actually want these streams to be a lot more of a chat. So I'm going to change the dynamic up totally on streams now, where it's going to be a lot more laid back with me. So you guys can just literally chat away instead of being super prepared and, you know, everything like that. Because I think there's a lot of uncertainty right now with people worrying about, you know, developer jobs and all that kind of stuff, and basically need a bit of help. So here we have a question from Nishan. He goes, I'm feeling super overwhelmed these days. Should I quit software engineering? And I'm bad at mathematics too. Firstly, mathematics doesn't matter. Okay, don't count that into your equation here. But what I would say is, do not quit. No, the difference is just focus on what you should be learning. So now, get very good with agentic workflows, right? So in this case, like for example, exactly what we're going to do today. Get very, very good at this. And I'm not talking about little bit, I'm talking about get dialed in with this stuff, so you can basically build pretty awesome apps, do it the right way, and, you know, do it quickly for clients. You can make a ton of money if you do that right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start the planning session. So first things first is, let's go ahead and drop in a few things. So we're using Clerk for our authentication. We're using Clerk for our authentication and had to handle our organizations and also to handle our billing. So Clerk is literally a powerhouse in this build, right? And there's a reason why you should trust Clerk, because look, here's the reality. Which other authentication company is getting backed by Anthropic the way that they are? $50 million went into Clerk from Anthropic, right? There's a reason why. They're focusing heavily on agentic stuff. So trust me when I say this is the company to put your stuff behind, right? Let me go ahead and get that out of the way. Right, we've got Clerk. Now for the backend, we're going to be using Convex. Okay, so Convex is going to be for the backend. And then, of course, for the base of the app, we're using Next.js. I think, yeah, it will be Next.js 16. We are using, obviously, under the hood of that is React. I'm not going to get too far into all this stuff, but to style it all and make it look pretty, we're using Tailwind. So Tailwind CSS is going to be the under the hood. Then, obviously, to keep things very simple, Shadcn, right? So this is a normal cookie cutter style setup, right? We've got Clerk, Convex, Next.js 16, React, Tailwind, Shadcn. Okay, you don't want to overcomplicate it too much, right? You can layer things on as you wish afterwards. And even things like frame of motion, you can feel free to really go in and kind of, you know, layer things on as you wish. Now, the way that it works, to keep it very, very simple, is you have organizations. So let's say we sign up with an organization called the Papa Fam, right? So the Papa Fam has its own billing plan attached to it. Okay, so this will have its own billing plan attached to it. And then each of the Papa Fam can have several members inside of it. Okay, so in this case, I could have, for example, Sunny be a member inside of it. We can have the Marine from Texas be from inside of it, right? So we've got Marine from Texas. And then we can have, for example, Jay be a member inside of it. Okay, now you can, you know, choose to add in, you know, seats, billing, all that kind of stuff yourself. But in this instance, if we have one billing plan, we need to have a way where we can basically, let's say, for example, this billing plan is going to be on Pro, okay? Then we have to give it all of our users a way to be able to access the Pro features, okay? So how do we give access to all the Pro features for all of the organization, all of the users in the organization? That's the first thing we need to consider, right? The second thing to consider, okay? Let's say the Marine from Texas is the admin of the group, okay? So he's the admin, he's the one that rules the shop. He can go ahead and basically decide, you know, if he wants to invite me, Jay, other members to the team. So we have to have role-based access control, okay? So this is where you basically have certain roles and permissions and all that kind of stuff. So basically, we're going to go ahead and implement that today as well, right? Marine says, Sunny, can you perhaps put together a long short-form video on client acquisition being an AI-enabled developer? Very, very good topic. I will definitely look into how I can present it and get something out there, but thank you so much, dude. Brutal Insights, he goes, another proper tutorial from the best. I appreciate you so much, dude. So yeah, we're going to enable effectively role-based access control. Okay, so we're going to have R back inside of here. Now, another layer to consider is, okay, once we've done that, how do we separate the data between another organization? So say, for example, we had another organization called, I don't know, it could be called Elon's, I don't know, I've gone blank. Call it, I don't know, some other company, right? Damn it. So it's some other company, right? This is some other company out there, right? Some organization. So how do we go ahead and separate Papa Fam's data from some other company's data? So this is where we effectively have to structure our database the right way. Okay, so this is effectively where we're going to have our database come into play. Now, in order to build all of this, typically the old way would have been to go ahead and manually code this. It'll take quite long. You have to do a lot of planning. It's brutal, okay? But now we're going to be jumping into an AI flow. So AI is basically what we're going to be using here. I like to use Cursor. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to be using Cursor as my IDE. There is no right or wrong answer here, guys. I just like Cursor for many reasons I'll show you today. Right now, in terms of how we can enhance our model to perform better for us, there's a couple of things that we have to consider. The first thing is the model. Okay, so number one is the model. Now, in this case, my strongest model that I'm using right now, full transparency, is Opus 4.6. I find it the best especially for the big flows, right? So the majority of the app, the big flows, especially the UI, right? So the UI, the only one that's come close is a couple of the Gemini models at the moment, or Google's models. They've been pretty nice for UIs. But when it comes to some back-end development, I have an AI team, by the way. So I have a complete AI development team. It's kind of wild. I have them running in Telegram. So like if you want to know how to build any of your own AI agentic teams, I have a team of 8 developers, like AI agents that are basically coding apps and doing a bunch of stuff for me. If you want to know how to do any of that, the second link in the description will take you to our waitlist where we are setting up our entire community where I train you on all of that. So feel free to go ahead and check that out if you want. It's the second link in the description, okay? But in that workflow, my second agent uses Codex 5.3 or 5.4, sorry, at the moment. I believe it's, I get lost, but it's 5.4 at the moment, I believe. Right? No, it's 5.3. It's 5.3. GPT 5.4 is the other one at the moment. Right? So this is great for like some backend coding because it's very consistent, right? Very, very consistent. It's pretty awesome at what it does, but Opus is honestly the king in my opinion. But the problem is that you don't need to have the most powerful model for the small things like reading a file or checking things or reading a file or, just observing the database. So that's where Cursor does it really well because they compare this with like their composer model. It makes things really nice. Okay. So model is one layer. The second layer is something called skills. Okay. Now skills are very, very important, right? We have skills and I'm going to also put MCP in the category here, right? Now skills and MCP do two things for us, right? MCPs basically allow our agent to have basically speak to companies' APIs, right? Think of it this way. It's a translation layer between an AI agent and an API, right? So effectively think of it like this. So I'm going to kind of, this is a bit confusing like this. So imagine we've got an MCP and then we have a few layers. So we have an API on one side. So this is a company's API. It could be Slack, could be Stripe, could be whoever it is. And our AI agent can't directly talk to this. You know what? This is terrible. One sec. Let me just do a full diagram, right? So we have our AI agent over here. So this is our agent that we talk to. And then we want to talk to an API. Okay, so the API is over here. Now we can't just do this. We can't just go ahead and talk to that API. We can, like as much as we want to, you can, but as in you're not going to get the best results because this agent doesn't know what's inside this API. It might have been trained on some old data, all that kind of problems could pop up, right? So you've got a couple of ways to solve this. Number one is we have an MCP layer. MCP is basically something that is set up by the company, so this end, and they basically create an MCP and think of it like a translation layer. So this MCP is translating what the agent over here is asking for. So agent over here says, okay, I want to access, I want to create a new post on LinkedIn. MCP says, okay, here's the API endpoint for that. And then it goes ahead and gives it to the AI agent. AI agent knows how to use it. Okay. Welcome Chelsea. She goes, first time in live stream, excited. Oh, awesome stuff. So we have this working pretty nice. And then we have skills. Okay. So skills and MCP's benefit is basically it'll keep you up to date with the latest API changes. So that's number one. And then skills are very, very good because skills are basically, think of them like, I was about to say plugins, but it's a bad word to use now. But think of these as like little boosts, right? So we can boost our AI agent's capabilities with different skills. So we can give one, for example, let's just give one, for example, the Clerk Organizations skill. Okay. So now if I go ahead and give this to my AI agent, now my AI agent knows all about how to use Clerk Organizations. And all these are, guys, is literally MD files, markdown files. Yo, we got a donation already. What's up, dude? Federico Nicholas Baez goes, man, you're the best. I watch you all the time. I'm poor, otherwise I'd give you more. Please accept my humble donation. Dude, honestly, you didn't even have to donate. I appreciate you so much. And that means the world, especially today. So thank you so much, man. And I'm so glad that we could help you out. What an awesome dude, right? So back to skills. Thank you so much, dude. So back to skills. The good thing about skills is basically, like I said, these are MD files. They're markdown. They're basically like a text file, right? And they just power up our AI agent. But they do not get pulled into our AI agent's context window. And context window is a very important thing. We'll get more into it. But until they are needed. Hey, dropped another one. He goes, you are the best. What's up, dude? You got my speakers popping off on the outside. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. He goes, you're the best. Awesome energy. So we can have basically a ton of different skills. Now, obviously, all of these IDEs realized that, people were doing this. So what they did was they made it a bit easier for us and they added something called plugins. And plugins, the easiest way to show you these, I will go ahead and show you this. But basically, they wrap up a bunch of those things that we talked about. They wrap things like MCPs, skills, and sub-agents all inside of one plugin that you can just easily install. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started in the build right now. Now we'll jump into some of the feature set afterwards. I'll show you how we can use plan mode to be more effective when we're building. But the first thing that I want to do is actually spin up my app. Okay, so we can start looking at what we're going to be using. So what I want you to do is go over to Convex, and then I want you to go to developers, documentation. And this is going to be a very chill session. So we're literally going to be sitting down, coding together, and you guys can feel free to do things along with you. Hey, join the Pop Fan Minutes special tier as well. What a G, this guy's awesome. MPX, create next app. So let's go ahead and grab that. And then what I like to do is I don't like to go ahead and, oh, there's another person from Dubai. What's up? Right. So I like to go ahead and pop them inside of documents builds. And then I do MPX create next app. And instead, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. It's actually this one, NPM create convex at latest. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and paste this in and then hit enter. Now, using package name npm, okay, that's fine. I like to use, let's try and actually do it with PNPM. So I like to use PNPM DLX create convex at latest. So I like to use PNPM. Can we use that? PMPX. I wonder if we can use PMPX. Is that a thing? PMPX. Create? No. Okay. Anyway, it's okay. Right. Convex latest. And let's go ahead and do project name. We'll do Messagely B2B app. Okay. And then Next.js app router. Clerk requires clerk account. Perfect. And then installing dependencies. Now, while that's happening, what I want you to do, go over to Clerk where we set things up. And I want you to go into your settings, configure, and go into API keys down here. Okay. Now you need to simply just copy that. They make it so easy. All right, just copy that and you're good. All right. And then we need to do one more step actually. So copy that. And then I want you to go to find and type in JWT. Okay. So I always lose it. Sessions, JWT, add new template. And then we're going to go to template and we're going to add convex and then click on save. And the only thing you're going to need here is the issuer. I'm going to copy the issuer now for later. And we're going to save. And now we've got our API keys and we've got our JWT token. Okay. And then let that install. And then we're going to CD into Messagely. Right. And then I'm going to do cursor dot. Okay. Cursor dot will go ahead and spin up cursor inside or open up cursor with this folder as our context. Right. So in this case, cursor, boom, close that now. And then here we have it. So this is where you want to get really familiar. Okay. So somebody asked a good question. I love this. Ask questions, guys. Absolutely ask questions, right? So JWT tokens are effectively like, think of them, I'm going to keep it very high level here, but think of them as a way that we're going to allow our Convex database to effectively keep a clear understanding with our authentication side of things, right? So JWT is basically a JSON web token. They're used in OAuth flows all over the place. And you can feel free to look at how we're going to use it today. But the main high level understanding you need to know is it's required for our Clerk to stay in sync with our Convex, right? So Clerk is our authentication, Convex is our database layer, right? So we've got the app, we've got page.tsx. Command I is to go ahead and close that side. Command J is to pull things up from the bottom. And what I want you to get familiar with is Command E changes you into this view. So you see every time I press Command E, it's like an agentic view where you've got the code, like kind of editor is secondary here. And then we've got the agent chat and multiple agent chats, and then Command E again. And we go into like a kind of a coding view, right? So you want to get very comfortable hopping between the two, okay? So first thing we want to do is go into our cursor I'm going to go into settings, cursor settings. I'm going to run you through some of mine. So plugins. Now I use a ton of plugins, to be honest. I've got Convex, I've got Linear, I've got all these ones, but the main one I want is Clerk. So Clerk is, I have got Clerk installed, of course. Yep, we've got it here. Oh, I have got it installed. Okay, but let's install it here again. So Clerk, add to cursor, add for myself, or add for project. I added it to project last time. Let's add it for myself because I'm going to use it every time. So in this case, you can see like it's installing an MCP, and then it's installing the 7 skills. And you can see all of these skills. If we click into it, this basically is an MD file, which teaches our agent when required, and it knows when it's required because it's going to basically look at the description and be like, all right, was Sunny's question linked to this description? If it was, then cool, I'm going to bring in the rest of the file. And only at that point does it bring in. This will basically teach you how to use Clerk webhooks, right? So in this case, that pulls in all of this, go back, and then we've got Convex, which we already are using. And then there's a couple others that I would recommend. Won't get too far into it, but if you go into the marketplace, you can see for yourself, scroll the way down, they're adding tons every day. But I actually quite like the agent orchestration ones like Parallel, Compound Engineering, Create Plugin if you want to do your own custom stuff. I do loads of that. And also Stripe is a cool one if you're going to do some custom stuff, but we don't really need to worry about any of that really. We've got the main two, Clerk and Convex, which are good. Okay. Now that that's done, you can set the rest up if you wanted in tools and MCP, but we don't need to do any of that as well because we've got our plugins pretty much good. Now I'm going to disable stuff that I don't need here. So I don't need these things. I don't need these things right now. I just need Convex and Clerk. You really don't want to have excessive. So these ones I actually don't want. I want my plugin MCPs, right? So I have tons of stuff here, right? What I'd recommend is honestly disable the stuff you don't need because it's just bloat. It's just more decisions or, to go ahead and siphon through that you don't need to complicate things with. Now, if we look at Convex, it pulls in, oh my God, another donation. Yo, he goes, in all sincerity, and though I'm certain you've heard it before, you serve as a guiding light for those of us navigating the shadows of scarcity. My gratitude is profound. Dude, what a nice guy. Thank you so much. Hey, oh my God, another one. $5 donation. He goes, a moment for an idea. Thoughts on a multi-tenant AI agent marketing platform that keeps track of leads. I struggle finding clients to build for. Actually, very, very good. That's actually very, very good. Jay, take a screenshot of all of these amazing people, but take a screenshot of that especially as well, and we'll get over to that. But guys, thank you so much. Wow, amazing energy. Say absolutely awesome. Someone goes, Sunny, how long have you been coding? I was touching 16, 17 years now. So trust me, I did this before the AI days. And now I'm telling you how to carry on doing it successfully, okay? So this pulls in a bunch of tools as well as snippets and a few things like that. So let's go back, we're already good, okay. So we want to run our app, so Command J, and then we need to, the one thing I noticed as well, this hasn't got a Git registered when we first set up. So let's get that sorted out. And then I'm going to zoom in a bit and tell me if it's too small at any point, right? I'm going to do PNPM. Now, look, I have a package lock here. I'm going to be honest here. I don't like NPM. So to change it, you just do a delete and then you do PNPM I, and you can basically just switch to PNPM, right? That's not going to get rid of the node modules. If you actually wanted to do it, you would delete the node modules and then reinstall, but it's fine, right? I have pretty big space on my computer. It's fine. We're going to do PNPM dev to start things off. Okay. And if you don't know what PNPM is, you can literally Google it, right? There's just a slight difference. Right now, what's going to happen is this is going to try and spin up Convex next alongside my app. So what I want you to do is head over to Convex, and I actually have a link on my Convex that I'd appreciate you using because it would give me a few extra things and it gives you a few extra things. So let me go ahead and log into my Convex right now. And plus, I think I need to delete an app because I think I've hit a limit on Convex. So we're going to log into Convex right now. Convex is free. They have a hugely generous tier as well. So we've got a couple of things here. Let me go ahead and get rid of this one right here. So boom, delete this. And then Jay's going to pop in a referral in the chat right now. You guys can feel free to use that if you want. It just gives, resource usage limits boosted by 5 times, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to basically go back to our code. Okay. So back to over here, create a new project. Yes. And then we're going to go ahead and say my team. And then we're going to say message B2B app. Yes. Cloud deployment. Yes. And then US East is fine. And then it'll create the project. Now, while that's happening, Oh, set up Convex AI files. This is cool. Actually, no, I don't. This is tricky actually. So if you do this, it kind of goes crazy and starts installing everything, which I don't like. So if I do this, I'll show you how to clean it up. But actually, we're going to say no. Yeah, because it goes a bit too wild and starts installing everything. We can run it ourselves, to be fair. Convex, yeah, we can run it ourselves. That's fine. And that'll spin up our Convex, right? And also open up the browser tab. Now, what I want you to do is keep this open and we can use that afterwards, right? And then we need to put our keys in. So environment.local, you can see we have our Convex stuff over here. Now remember, we got those keys from Clerk, right? And we also see it created it here. Go back to Clerk. You've already got the keys. Just a little reminder of where they are. Grab the keys, put them over here, and go ahead and paste them in, okay? Actually, you know what? I'm going to show them because I'm going to validate my keys afterwards anyway, right? So these are Clerk. These are our Convex keys, okay? Now, obviously, these are private. You don't want to show these to everyone. I'm doing it now because I'm going to go ahead and hide it afterwards, okay? And also, guys, do me a favor. We get so many views on these videos, but destroy the like button. There's a huge discrepancy between views and likes, and trust me, it helps the channel grow so much. Destroy that like button. It makes so much of a difference. You have no idea, and it helps me do this a ton. Yeah, so definitely go ahead and do that right now. Right, so we're going to go ahead and hit save, and then we should be out of keyless mode. So if we open this up on the side now, and what I want to do is pull open another browser next to it. My computer's choking up. I've got the next M5 coming soon, so we should be good. Let's go ahead and pop this in, and I can get rid of these now. We don't need them. Localhost, there we go. Right, so once you see this, you're pretty good. Right, you're doing well so far. Now we need to, well, we don't need to, but I'm gonna go ahead and try doing the Convex install like this. So Convex AI installs info. Oh wow, another donation. Holy crap. This guy is awesome, man. He goes, people please like the video. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Donations galore today. Wow, awesome. If I close Spark. Jay, have I have Spark open? I didn't see that. Okay, anyway. So after this, we're going to do npx convex AI files install. Go ahead and click on a new. And then we're going to go ahead and paste in. So npx convex AI files install. And now I hope it's going to not just blow in everything. I have a feeling it will. Yep, it did. It did exactly what I didn't want it to do, but anyway. So it goes a bit crazy when you do that, and I'll be honest, it's a bit overkill. We didn't need all this. So to clean it up, I want to get rid of... Okay, so we're going to get rid of this, all of these, get rid of this, get rid of this, delete all of those firstly. And then the ones that we care about are, this is for Claude Code, we don't need that. Clerk, we actually don't need that. Agents is the one we need. Convex, create, yeah. So just a bunch of skills. But we actually already have these skills in the plugin. So I thought it might have added something else. I don't think it did. Agents.md, okay, just reminder. Claude.md, we don't need that. That's for Claude Code. Yeah, there you go. That's your cleanup, okay? Now, once you got to that point, what I want you to do is open up your page.tsx, and just to make sure that you've got everything connected, change something over here, for example, just say hello world and hit save, and you should see everything update accordingly. So if we go back over to our app, we should see our app hot reload. If I go back down here, hit save. Interesting. Okay, if I go ahead and cut my app now, let's go ahead and cut things off. PNPM dev should be hot reloading. So give that a second. If it doesn't, you just might need to do what I'm doing right now and restart. Right? There you go. It's a bit annoying how it pops up every time, but it's fine. And then hit refresh, and oh, my bad. It was the header. It did change. Yeah. Hello world. Let's see if we change this one, for example. There you go. Nice. Okay, cool. So Command J, Command B, and now we can start running with things, right? So first thing I want you to do is actually install shadcn. So we're going to go over to ui.shadcn.com. And then you have a few ways now. So we go to the docs to start things off from scratch. Now you do have skills, which is pretty awesome from shadcn. I'm very happy to have this. Let's go ahead and add those first. So this basically is going to add a skill. So our AI agent knows how to use shadcn. So open up the command line, and then we're going to paste that in. PNPM DLX skills, add Chatien, cloning the repo. So if you're not using Claude, what frontier model are you using? I'll show you. I am using a Claude model though. So I'm going to install these per project, or you know what? Typically I would do global, but project here just so you can see what gets added in. Yep, we can proceed. I trust this one. And then you can see that it added in a bunch of different agent skills. Right, so Chatien, boom, bunch of skills. Okay, this is going to help it use Chatien. So I'll show you my setup, Command I, and here you can see, firstly, I do use max mode. So full transparency, I pay $200 on Cursor. I pay $200 on Claude. I pay $200 on GPT. Trust me, the return is way better. So I would highly recommend, if you're debating it, just pay $200. Trust me, focus on the gain of what you can do with this stuff. It's way worth it, right? And do not use the API cost instead, like use the plan. It's way more bang for buck, right? I use max mode, which does boost you up to a million tokens. Yeah. The only thing I would highly recommend is when you do that, after 200,000, they're not saying it here, but it actually is typically, unless they didn't change that. Maybe they've got it back to normal again. Okay. But usually after 200,000 tokens, it tends to double on API on the cost. But I don't think it does anymore. Okay, interesting. Maybe it doesn't. Codex does for the fast model, and GPT-5.4 does after exceeding a token account. So you want to make sure you look out for this little yellow section, okay? So our frontier model today is Opus 4.6. You don't need to use Opus 4.6, but just know if you do go lower in models, then yes, you're going to have a little bit less of a performance effect, right? But it doesn't mean it's going to be a terrible thing. It just means you might need to go back and forth a few times. Okay, so now what we're going to do is write a complete plan to go ahead and get started. So a shift tab is how you go through different modes, right? If we do Command D, I prefer that we write it in this approach. And now we're going to go ahead and talk to it to basically go ahead and get this up and running, right? So plan mode is so important. Most people just start coding away and changing the app and all this kind of stuff. You really don't want to do that. You want to start in a plan mode. You're going to get way better performance from an app like this, right? So typically you can type with it. I actually use, a friend of mine actually created this app called Super Whisper. Awesome. You can actually use code Sunny25, I think, and you get a discount there. Feel free to use it. Honestly, I'm just saying because I actually paid for it and I use it every day. So it's really good. And that's what I'm going to be doing today in case anyone's wondering. Okay. So we are building. So now what I do is I press the keyboard shortcut, which is Option Spacebar for me. And then it pops up on my screen. And I think I can show you. Let me pull it into the chat. Yep. So you guys can see here. Right. So if I go and we're going to go. Oh yeah. I need to go ahead and build a B2B multi-tenant messaging app similar to Slack. We want to have organizations who can invite several users, and we want to have two different plans, a free plan and a paid plan. We're yet to decide on what features to gate, and the tech stack that we're using is Next.js, or you can check for yourself. But we want to make sure that all the authentication is handled by Clerk. All the backend stuff is handled by Convex, and we leverage the real-time capabilities for messaging to make it super simple and easy. And also the billing and the gating should all use Clerk, especially for organizations and especially for feature gating. They should use their latest stuff. You have both plugins installed for Clerk and for Convex. Now, you might be wondering, well, Sunny, you don't actually need to say what plugins it's using and so forth. Trust me, AI is non-deterministic. So the more you can just reiterate something, it's better, okay? So you have both plugins installed for Clerk and for Convex, use them, right? Sometimes I do this over and over again. You might see me do it today a ton. And also, honestly, I don't go crazy about checking this through over and over again, right? I'm also gonna say, help me figure out the feature set also. So here's a couple of features. And by the way, drop comments right now of features that you want to see in this, and we can literally add it on if it's reasonable. Okay, so we need the invite flow. Clerk's going to handle all of that stuff. We need some kind of here's a couple. We need the ability to create channels. So admins can create channels. All members can join channels. We're not going to do any kind of private channel, like as in we'll just do simple. Admin can create and delete channels. Create and delete channels. All members can join channels. we should have some form of, we could do notifications eventually. See how that goes. We need RBAC. So with org, for example, admin, etc. For row-based access. And then here I will again say use clerk's permissions. Right, so there we go. And then we can sort of kick it off from there, to be fair. I've actually sort of, messed around a bit with one of my own agents before, just kind of, brainstorming, seeing what we could add in. And also for like for the pro plan, we could say something like this. For the pro plan, possibly only show last, let's just say it could be just to demonstrate, maybe only show last 30 messages for free plan in a channel. So like, I'm just exaggerating because most of them tend to do 30 days. But in this case, just so I can demo it, possibly only show 30 messages for a free plan in a channel. And then we can have maybe like up to 5 members in an org if free, else pro has unlimited. So these are kind of our gating. And then we can even say free can only have, let's just say 5 channels. Yeah, something like that. Whereas pro basically is untethered, okay? So we also need like an upgrade flow. Therefore, we need upgrade. We nice upgrade flow, onboarding, etc. Okay. So in this case, we can go ahead and just copy that, and I always copy it in case I lose it. And then you got 2 options there. You can either start on your local machine, or you can actually spin up a work tree. Now, I'm not going to get into work trees too much, but they are absolutely goated. They are absolutely needed, and they're very, very good. But in this case, we'll do that later. Let's go ahead and kick this off. Okay. So now this will go ahead and start off a planning session. And you can see on the left, we can spin up several agents if we wanted to, and have a few agents. But the main thing is this is why I like Cursor so much, right? So you see what it did here. It started off, so it created a sub agent. Now, a sub agent is like spawning another, like a temporary employee, and says, go and check out every file that exists right now, for example, and go and just read everything. But that employee that I just spawned out of nowhere is basically super cheap, like not hard to, not very expensive, right? Whereas if I went and did all of that, it could be more expensive, right? So in this case, like this model, Composer 2, is way more cost effective than, for example, Opus. So now what it's doing, and it's way more quicker as well. So now it's able to scan through all the files, go ahead and give a complete summary back to the previous agent. And as you can see, so this finished and gave its context back. And now you can see it comes back down. Okay. Now, one thing I want you to be very, very aware of is this right here. So you can see like the active rules as well as the context that is being used. Okay. Now, one thing that I really want to stress is that the new Glass UI that you might have tried out, you might have not, inside of Cursor, when you use that, you do lose track of this, right? So when you do lose track of this, it's very easy to not know what your context window is. So get used to this and know what context and how quickly it can stack up and so forth, especially when you're using an IDE, and know that, you don't want that to climb. Look how quickly that's climbing, right? Because tool calls in IDEs tend to be quite expensive versus something like Claude Code, right? Or straight up, like when my OpenClaw agents are coding, they just literally modify files directly. So they're way more leaner than something like an IDE. But an IDE is very, very good, especially when you're coding and you really want to get hands-on and in-depth, especially when it comes to reviewing and doing things in parallel. Okay, so next up, let's do it. Let's do a thing for now. In addition, what it's going to do is, you see here, clerks has function. Okay, so what I want to do on the back end is we can just prep a few things while it's planning. Okay, and this is what I would recommend you do. So we can close that for now. While it's planning, you can go really, like, honestly, just jump in and start figuring out what to do. So roles and permissions, we're going to have to set up. By default, you have an admin and a member role. Okay, admin has elevated privileges, so they have an org admin and they have 8 permissions, and org member has 2 permissions, right? And this whole thing, by the way, is already set up for us. In this case, look, you can have things like read billing, read domains, manage domains, and all the Clerk pre-built components that we'll use in a moment. They all support this out of the box, right? So we don't have to do anything custom, but we can actually create our own custom role. Okay. Now, if we go to settings, we can just check out our limits. Now here, membership limit. So we're actually going to add an unlimited membership. right? That is an add-on if once you go to a paid plan, just for clarity. Organization slugs, you can do it for yourself. Detect name and organization, okay, that's fine. And then unlimited organizations, that's fine. Default row set for now is fine. And then let's click on save. Okay. And what we're going to do is once we've figured out a plan with our agent, we'll come back and we'll start setting up some permissions. So click onto this right here. And what you can see is it's actually writing a plan. Okay. So let's close this up. I'm going to go ahead and make this a bit easier for you guys to see. And what I recommend is, like I said before, Command E. So get Command E, and then you can get pretty fast at just reading out the plan. So in this case, like message state, project scaffolded, it makes these really nice mermaid diagrams where it shows us exactly what's going on. Clerk provider, organization switcher. So we've got role-based access control. Has is what you should be seeing. If it starts talking about clerk and metadata and things like that, it's done it wrong. So at that point, you should go ahead and fix that and basically tell it to check the skills, right? Mino Lee Vision says, I get confused by 1 million tokens and context window. If you have 1 million tokens, you can chuck 1,000 books at it. So why the occasional refresh of context? Because, okay, so think of it this way. Just because you have 1 million tokens doesn't mean you should carry your session on for 1 million tokens. Put it this way. If I'm having a conversation with somebody, right, let's just say, for example, let's say, for example, I'm going to have a conversation with 10 people in a row. I have a conversation with the first person, okay? And then we've completely, resolved that conversation. Now I'm speaking to the second person. Should I, if I keep all my session context, imagine that the way to easily get this to stick is that first I need to explain the entire first conversation to the second person, and then I need to start the conversation with the second person. You see the bloat that it carries. Okay, cool. I resolved the second conversation. Now I go to the third conversation. These conversations are isolated. They don't need to know about each other, right? But why am I still explaining the second conversation, and now I'm starting the third conversation? So you're carrying all this extra baggage, and all of that, by the way, is of course chargeable, because the more tokens that you push through an LLM, you're getting charged. Right, so in this case, you don't want your context window to go high. And also, if you hit 1 million, right, it's going to do something called the million is very generous. Don't get me wrong, but typically when you have 200,000 or so forth, you have something called compaction, right, where basically it's going to go ahead and take 200,000 tokens and compress it down to summarize it. And there you do lose details, but it's worth knowing. So that's why you really want to just be aware you want to maximize as much detail as you can. So keep your AI chat sessions isolated to specific things, like specific topics. And the first step of all of that is create a plan and save the plan, right? Because that way, even if you have a new session, you can just refer back to the old plan, right? So Messagely B2B. So let's go ahead and look through architecture, all good. Feature set, core features, auth, organizations, channels, messaging, RBAC, onboarding, free plan, 30 most recent. Yep. Okay, cool. Max 5 minutes. Okay, so upgrade flow, upgrade prompts appear. Nice. Clerk dashboard configuration. So this is good, right? Before coding, configure in the Clerk dashboard. So enable, and this is what I really like. It tells us how to go ahead and use it. And we don't need to actually connect Stripe, by the way. We can do it very, very simply to get ahead and get started. Create the features on the plans. This is what I love, okay? Minoli goes, awesome, Sunny, thanks for that. Explains it. Hey, I love that. Thank you so much for a good question. Really, really good question. Right? And we also have a webhook endpoint. Now, this is very important here because this is so important, right? And it's done it perfectly this time. We want to keep, you don't have to, but if we want to keep our user in sync with what's going on inside of our database, we want to have our user always up to date. You can synchronize things like user created, user updated, user deleted, organization created, updated, deleted, and so forth inside of Convex. That way in Convex, we also have a copy of that data and it's perfectly synced. We can do that by webhooks. So we're going to cover webhooks as well. We need to also uncomment the clerk provider Convex connector inside of Convex, which I forgot to do actually. And then this is our backend. So this is setting up the tables, user table, organizations table, channels table, and so forth. Convex backend functions, very, very powerful stuff. We'll go into that afterwards. And then if we go down, UI components, key components used, these are incredible. So this is perfectly done it, right? So this is actually incredibly done. So this plan is flawless. And you can see by using the plugins, this is all of the latest stuff. Now, these are one component, like literally one drop components that work out of the box. and lets us do a ton of things. This literally lets us to handle the entire checkout flow. This literally gates admin only stuff. This gates pro only stuff. This checks on the server side for admin checks, and this is for the same for pro. Like it's incredibly powerful, right? You can do the same also for permissions versus plans and so forth. Okay. Then we've got the proxy file, and then it's telling us what we need to install and all that good stuff, right? Now I've actually forgot that okay, so it's actually done ShadCN in it anyway. I actually forgot, I had installed the ShadCN skills, but I forgot to actually set the thing up. And then the onboarding flow, environment variables. Cool. This is really, really good. It's actually a very good plan. Command E. So once you're happy with the plan, I'm going to say, before we begin the plan, run me through all of the clerk setup steps. So that way I can trigger you building after I approve. And I can set things up on Clerk's end, like the permissions and all that stuff and pricing, whilst you begin the plans. And also, while you're doing the plans, yeah, just carry on. It's fine. Yeah, I was gonna say split into phases, but I think it's okay. The way it's done it actually did a very good plan. Okay, so also while you're doing the plans, give it that bit. All right. So let's go ahead and stick it in plan. Boom. Let's zoom out a little bit. Right. So, and the thing is, right, we're 50 minutes in, we've done a full plan and everything. You'll be amazed now at how fast things fly forward, right? So really, truly, this is the power of Clerk, like handling everything for us. We don't have to manage much. It's crazy powerful. And power that with Convex and, oh, you've got an incredible team, right? So we've already done the Convex integration. So the only thing actually that I wanted to do is go ahead and do, okay, so what we're going to do is actually, so you see we're at 80.3. We'll do this in a moment. So I'll come back to this in a sec. I just wanted this listed out. So when we kick the build off, we can actually come up and let it build while we go ahead and set things up. Okay. This is great. Okay. Tell me to go and I'll start begin building the code base. Okay. I'm going to say, oops. Start building. I'll do this in background. Cool. And also, before we do that, what I recommend you highly do is that plan save to workspace. Okay, so important. People don't do this. Command E. If I go over here now and I go to cursor, plans, you see now if I ever start a new chat session, I can just simply go ahead and do, say I'm in a new chat, I can do @plan, and you see I've got the plan. So I have literally the full plan, right? So you really want to make sure you have that, okay? Now, start building. We're at 80,000 tokens right now. It's fine, I'm going to trigger it. If it was at like 150K, I probably would have just started a new chat and said execute the plan, all right? So start building, I do this in background, boom, okay? Now, let's go ahead and do stuff in the background while our agent is building, okay? So, let's go to, oh, sorry, where's the chat? Command D, move this out of the way. Pull this over here, and he's building over here. So if I come up, we've got step 1 here, activate Convex plugin. So it gives you all the links as well, which I really like, right? So I can't remember which account I've got in. Is it, it's on my personal, okay. So developers, integrations, we've actually already done it. Now, I don't know if this integration part here actually makes a difference if you're already using the JWT, but we'll do it anyway, right? So go to integrations, let it load, and then, oh, okay. I mean, we already have it running, so I'm not really too fast. Go to Messagely. In fact, click on this link that they gave, and when you click it, I'm using Arc. Sometimes I just have to click on personal, and then move to personal. And then connect Clerk with Convex, connect our personal workspace, yeah, with Messagely. And let me just double check. So that is actually my personal, yeah, personal workspace with Messagely, development, enable the Convex integration. Ah, there you go. That's actually important. Activate Convex integration. And this is really important. If you look at the integration guide, you'll see actually what's going on. But from the Convex in your environment file, add the following value, Clerk front-end API. So, and local, and this is the Clerk front-end API URL. And what I recommend you can even do is you can just give it to it as well. So I can just interrupt it and say, yep, there you go. just like it will figure out how to carry on afterwards, and it's just a handy way of just saying, yep. So it knows in the context that that's the API URL. Heading back up, we've done that now. The next thing we need to do is for environment variables, by the way. So this was one thing, right? But if we go to, we go back now, close this. We go to our configure, the JWT that we talked about earlier. So it was in sessions, JWT templates. Go here. Remember that issuer. So I think that was the same one as we just got, by the way, right? So I want you to go into Convex dashboard, Messagely B2B app, and you actually need to update the environment variable here. So we need to click on add, paste the value in, and for the name, we need this to be clerk JWT issuer domain. So this is actually where the environment variable lives, because we have cloud functions, which are going to it needs access to that environment variable at that level. Okay, now that's good. Go to Clerk Organizations. We've already done it. We've already enabled. Allow users to create organizations is on. And then default role for new members is org member. So let's double check those settings. And I'm showing you this because you see it just runs you through everything, and it's pretty easy to do, right? So default ruling, yeah, default role set's fine. Create first organization automatically. Members will not see name form. No, we don't want that. All right. Step 3, create custom permissions and roles. Navigate to permissions tab, create these custom permissions, org channels, create, and so forth. Navigate to the roles tab. So this one changes from time to time because they've changed a few things. So what I recommend you do here is go to all roles. We have admin, we have member, and the way to read this is channels is actually the role. Okay, so what we need to do is add in org channels. So we're actually trying to add in the permissions here. So if we go into, well, interestingly enough, it would be, so what I like to do here just to get clarity is I'm going to create this. And then what I do is I'm going to, while this is working, because this chat is right now executing. Yeah. So I'm going to do a command N, create a new, command N. Or you can do, okay, let me explain. So if we do click on new agent over here and then pop it in, that screenshot. So I popped in that screenshot and I said, explain in plan. So we pass in our plan, how to set up permissions correctly. Here's what I see, right? So you can do it this way. You can do it another way. But in this case, I believe it would be here where we put channels, but just for the terminology, I don't want to get things a bit too confusing. So I'm going to try and get it cleared up. So we are trying to create custom permissions. So I can see that you're on the clerk with the default admin and member. Your plan needs custom permissions for channel. Let me update the plan with clear structure step. No, not really this. I'm going to, wait, here's what I see. Explain in, no. So it's saying explain to me how to do this properly. I'm going to revoke those changes. So 1 minute. Let me get rid of this. How to do this properly in Clerk dashboard. How to set permissions correctly. Here's what I see. Here's original plan for reference. And then what I'm going to do is pass in the original plan. Oh yeah, which is this plan. Yeah, cool. Continue and revert, and the base that just reverts the change it did. So that's why you don't have to be worried too much if it already changed that file, right? Meanwhile, this one's like blazing through, doing madness. If we go over here, so it's actually been pretty lean on the token spend. Hasn't been too bad yet, right? Here's a step-by-step for setting up the clerk and rows, current custom permissions. Okay, edit row or manage permissions. You should see a list of existing permissions, organization settings, permission keys. So click the switch to the row sets tab. So again, sometimes AI gets trained on old stuff. Exactly a situation like now, where it can get confusing on this. So row sets, default row set, edit row set. Let's have a look. We've got the rows here. And what you can even do is just keep giving it more context. So we can add in channels here, but I don't really want to do that because it's not really the correct way. In row sets, here's what I see. And to be fair, we need to kill time anyway because this is all happening in the background. In the right page, here's what to do. Click on the admin row with edit row or manage permissions. Okay. So, edit row. And now we've got custom permissions. Ah, that's the one. Yeah. That's what I was missing. So custom permissions is what we actually needed. Things. So default create permissions with edit view. So we need these: org channels create and org channels delete. Okay. So custom permission, org channels create, and the key using this called org channels create. What's the key that we're going to give it? The permission key, org channels create. Interestingly, and this again, if I go ahead and do this, so I think actually if we do create here, it actually creates it in a slightly different way. I'm just going to do a little test here. So if I did create, org channels create, so you'll see what I mean. If we click this, and then we do, for example, channels. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so it would be under this. So channels. Okay, so if we were to do, for example, create feature channels create. So the org create. Oh, damn it, I screwed up. Okay. So reset this. We need org. This one is channels. Yeah. So the feature is actually channels. So this would be access to channels. Okay. So org, and it is S, yeah, channels. And then you can, okay, so the thing is I can't actually delete that one, so it's fine for now, but org channels, create permission, and then this is going to be the actual permission. So it'll be org channels, and then we've got create, ability to create a channel. And obviously we only want admins to do this, okay? So ability to create a channel, org channels create, and then another one, I think was it delete, yeah. Delete. Ability to delete channel. Okay, create permission. Nice. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and hit save. And then we've got our permissions: org channels create, org channels delete. Cool. Now that's done. And that's for the admin role. So if we go back now, the admin has 10 permissions. If we click on view, they have org channels create, org channels delete. And in our code, it's so easy to get access to those, right? And we can use Clerk's pre-built setup and configuration stuff to go ahead and do that. Now leave member row as is. So that's fine. Members should not get org channels or create. They can read and write when they join, but only manage admins manage channels. This is the best way to set it up. That's all good. Okay. So now we've done that, we go back to our plan and let's see where it's at. Okay. So it actually built out the entire base of the app, right? So kind of crazy that it did all that while we were doing that. If we go to the top, let's just see the remaining steps that we had to do on our side. We enabled organizations, we created custom permissions and roles, and then afterwards, edit the role and the same, yep, leave org member, yep. Enable billing, clerk, yep, development gateway, which we need to do actually. So billing settings. What I was mentioning, do you enable organization billing? Leave it on the clerk payment gateway. You don't need Stripe yet. You don't actually need Stripe at all yet. Okay. And then what we're going to do is I want you to go to create plan. Okay. Federico, I appreciate you. You're still in. Nice. A free plan should already exist. If not, create one. Slug is free. So we'll do the free plan afterwards because there's a slight change we have to make. Don't add the premium features. Create the pro plan. So pro with this lowercase pro. So pro and description, the pro plan for Messagely users. Okay, I don't know. I mean, the pro has all plan for message. You could do whatever you want there, right? Free trial you can give, publicly available. Yes, we want it to appear in the components. And then the monthly base fee. So in this case, we have decided, so whatever we want. We could do this again. You could price this out. Let's say it was $19.99 a month. Okay. And then say if you paid up front for a year, it would turn out to be like $15.99 a month. So that's the way that it works here. Right. And then for features, this is where you can add in the gating. So in this case, unlimited messages, unlimited members, and unlimited channels. So for features, we click on add feature, and then we go ahead. And firstly, you can see, look, you can actually enable the previous things that we added in, right? But we're not going to enable those. We're going to create more. We're going to say unlimited messages, unlimited messages, and description. You don't actually need to have this here, but I'm just going to keep this super simple. Unlimited messages, publicly available. Yes. To limit access to a feature based on organization roles, create permissions for this feature and assign them to rows. That's for rows. We're fine with that now. Okay, so that's one. We want to do another two. So we're going to do unlimited members and unlimited channels. Okay. So add features, unlimited members, unlimited members, and one more for unlimited channels. Okay, unlimited channels. And then we pop that in, click on create feature. Hey, energy, so cool. All right, and then we have that now. That's done. Now, just always worth a check, right? So we did that. Click on manage plans, click on your pro, and you should see everything in there. So yeah, so sometimes I kind of find that it does a little bit. So click on there, unlimited members, unlimited channels. Just make sure it's there, right? Remember, you don't put the channels, the other channels permission in. Unlimited members, unlimited features, unlimited channels, cool. That's awesome. Go back, and then for free, you can see that's how it's free org. I'm just gonna change that to free. Okay. And then you see how this has got the features here for channels, right? I don't think we actually want these here for now. So we're gonna get rid of these. Okay. We're gonna get rid of them because we're gonna gate that on a different thing. The features are what we'll check for. Cool. Create the webhooks. Next up, we have webhooks. So click add endpoint, and then for your URL, enter your Convex HTML deployment. Okay, so go to configure, webhooks. And then we're going to go ahead and we need our HTTP deployment webhook endpoint. So if you do command P, environment.local, Convex added this for us when we were setting up. So it's actually this. So you see this site URL, this one right here. Okay. And then what we do is it's just that /clerk-webhook. Okay. So add endpoint, that /clerk-webhook. Right. And then you can't find this. So then we need these events. So user created, user deleted. So all the user ones, all the organization ones, and then the create and delete organization memberships. So for user, we had 3. So all of these. For organization, we had created and we had updated. We didn't do deleted, created and updated. We haven't done deleted in this instance. And then organization membership, created and deleted. So membership, created and deleted. Right. And of course, if you want to account for the others, you can just amend your plan. Right. So really quite a simple thing. After creating, copy the signing secret. Yep. So now that's going to subscribe to these plans. So if we go ahead and remove that, you can see 7 events selected. You can choose advanced configuration, all this other stuff. Even give it a description if you need to remember. Even here, you can change, look, ingest or webhook. Very nice. And then we can go ahead and click on create. Once you've done that, this is the important one, the signing secret. You're going to copy this signing secret. And again, it's a secret, right? You shouldn't give that out. And we need to actually put that into our Convex dashboard. So Clerk webhook signing secret. So if we go into our Convex now, another environment variable, Convex, and then we're going to go ahead and pop in this one, our secret. Okay, oops. So, yep, it's that one. Save. Cool. And even here, you want to make sure that it doesn't do that. Yeah, doesn't do that new line problem. Okay. Now verify your environment local. So we should have a Convex URL, Clerk publishable key. Here we have it, and Clerk secret key. Yes. And then summary check. Okay, cool. So now we've got everything set up. Let's go ahead and see what it did. So it did a bunch of stuff when it was building out. And let's go ahead and have a review. So backend was fully built out. Authentication config, Clerk JWT provider enabled. So if we go to our auth, when I basically do this review, sometimes I like to do, you can do a couple of ways now. So I'll show you the review process. So step 1, you have your chat open. So the previous one, we can actually get rid of that. Okay, so we have our chat open, so we can get as much size as we want. You can either click on review to basically see all the different changes. And then basically from here, you can do a diff check. So you can see, okay, it started adding all this. And I can be like, okay, I'm happy with that change. And then you can kind of go through each one, and you can even make changes, add to chat, and basically go back and forth and do a review like this. So this is kind of one way that I'd recommend if you don't do it enough or you haven't gone through, you can kind of do it like this. All right, so in this case, I kind of got pretty quick at doing this. So I tend to know where it does well, where it doesn't do well. But the main thing is for now, we're going to be very trusty today, right? It does do the signature check for the webhook, which is absolutely good. We use proxy. We are checking for sign up, sign in, which means we have custom sign in pages. That's awesome. Pricing. Then we have our sign in, custom. Okay. And then let's just get into the fun stuff really. So I'm going to do Command E. I'm going to do Command I. You can see a bunch of changes here. And I'm just going to say that we're going to keep all changes. Okay. We're going to keep all the changes. Enable or keep to have changes. You can also do this. Enable auto keep to have changes be automatically updated automatically. Also hit. I don't know. No, I don't know if I want that yet. Okay. Somebody says, Jay, please, do you know when we are having point of sale software? Point of sale. I don't know if we're going to do a point of sale because we're kind of rebuilding an architecture then. But let's give the app a test, right? So you see right now, the first big flag is the font. Okay, so Command D, come back. This is typically when we've done a bunch of changes and we haven't reset our server. So go back, and what I want you to do is cut the server because it changed a ton. And then you want to do PNPM dev. Okay, so right now we need to do a full restart on the server. And this could be for a number of reasons, really. It could be the cache. It could be that it hasn't reloaded the fonts. It could be tons of things. But the main thing to know is that two things happen. One is that Convex functions are deployed successfully. There shouldn't be an error there. And two, the website should load. Okay. So first thing that we can see is the fonts aren't loading. Okay. So something's wrong with the fonts. So in this case, you can debug it manually, or you can just go ahead and explain it. So over here, I'm just going to come down. I'm just going to say you can either have it open in the browser as well. So if we were to open this in the browser, you can do it that way. So in Cursor, it does have a browser. So, I mean, you could do it that way, but I'll be real with you. I just end up doing it like this. I just take a screenshot like so. Oops. Let me grab it. What happened to my... Okay, so I grab a screenshot like so. Boom. Grab this. Come back over here. Paste it in. And then I like to just go ahead and say fonts aren't loading. Okay. Simple fix. Quick water break as well. And right now it does look like it added in all of the main functionality. Okay. And here you can see the issue is that the CSS font, which maps to a variable, the font set and layout font, these need to match. It was referencing itself, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, and I still cannot see. So still can't see. Correct font. And also we are going to do a big redesign. So I always recommend you do a big redesign. There are a number of ways you can do that really nicely. So Steam blocks, let me check out the fonts that impairment for your font size master font. You see a problem now, guess font. Reference root level hasn't been defined yet. First one. So yeah, we actually didn't do the correct onboarding for Shadsian. That's what I believe the actual issue was. Right, so it did a delete here. So it got rid of a couple of these, the body. Okay, so yeah, it got rid of the hard reference in the body. Cool. So in this case, that Messagely, start for free, view pricing, very simple design. Okay, not really much aspect on the design. If we click sign in, it does have our sign in capability. So we go ahead and sign in. Let's do a sign in with my account, for example. And remember, this is organizations. So we should be seeing some interesting behavior now. So it should ask me to create an organization if we did it right. There we go. Set up your organization. Okay. So this is the first time that you've basically gone in. So imagine now this is my company. I'll be like, okay, this is Papa Fam. All right, I can create a logo. I can upload a logo. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and pick a logo. I don't know if I've got a Pop Farm logo. I've got a Clerk logo. Okay, let's do, but that might look generic. So, I've got a Pop Farm logo. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a Pop Farm logo. Click on continue. And then this will go ahead and set up the organization. And you see, look, welcome to Messagely. This is a bug. So select org. We need to fix that. Select a workspace or create a new one to get started. So we already did create. If I refresh, then it popped in. So that's a bug that we need to fix, right? Welcome to select a workspace or create a new one to get started. We can see typical to Slack, right? I hate the UI. We're going to fix that. But if we click it, okay. So now we have already pretty decent flow. If we create a channel, let's go ahead and call this one, for example, general. So we're going to call our first channel general. Create the channel. We have a general channel. If I click into it now, I say hello world. Okay. So I have a message aspect of things, right? Which is nice. I have one member in here. I can delete a channel. If I go to members, I can see that there are 2 members, which is interesting because I am the only member. So that's another bug. Okay. Now the settings, I'm going to move this to the side. This is annoying sometimes. Move to bottom right. Yeah. Settings. If you here, you can see we've got the members. Now, the first thing to notice is I'm an admin, right? Whereas if I was to invite another member now, the whole invite flow Clerk handles for us. So now, for example, if I'm going to invite, for example, Jay, so J4399 at gmail.com, and he's going to be a member. Okay. So I'm going to send him an invite, and I'm also going to send my other team account an invite. So j.papriat.team.com. Right. So Jay's going to accept that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. Now we've got 2 invitations. So I need to now accept this invitation. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my Gmail quickly and accept that. So give me 1 second. So, so that will fly into your inbox. I'm just trying to make sure I don't show anything I don't want to show on the screen. So I'm just logging into my email. And this is another thing, because think about it. If you have to build that manually, you have to make sure you do that whole process perfectly correctly, all right? So in this case, you can see that we've got invitation to join PapaFam. Sunny has invited you to join the PapaFam organization on Messagely. Accept. Okay. And now it flies over, takes me to the screen, and then we can go ahead and log in. So at this point, I'm going to log in with team at Papa React. So I'm logging in with my other account now. And then Jay's just sent me a screenshot. He's in, and we should see what he's seeing in a moment. There we go. Look, welcome, Sunny. This is awesome, by the way. So this is really clean. Look at that. Firstly, amazing UI. You're signed in. Now it's time to connect Clerk to your application. Right? Start building. So in this case, it didn't actually redirect me to the right spot. That's because maybe the onboarding flow is not correct. Okay, so we need to debug a bit. So we need to note down a couple of these problems. But the main thing is that if we did go back to localhost, I want to check, am I able to, if I log directly into the app, so right now the redirect flow isn't working because I guess it's localhost, right? If it was deployed, it would actually be working. Hey, I see you. Let me go to PubFam. So now if I logged in, I can see that now we have 3 members. I am a member though. So you see how I can't invite a member. So I can't invite any members. And I also can't create any channels. So I have no plus button. I can join a channel, right? So in this case, if I say hi, Jay, if you want to go ahead and just type in a message in the general chat. So I'll type in, hello, Jay, where are you? If he goes into localhost, he's going to have to log in as well in order to do that. So if I actually create I've got 2 profiles actually open. So if I open this one up, I can see this person is logged in differently. So I can see, hi, Sunny. And I can actually message myself because this user is actually the admin user. It's a bit hard to see at the moment because I haven't got the UI very dialed in, but we're going to correct all of this. Okay. But Jay, if you were to write hello here, let's see if we can see your message in real time. And let's see if he says, oh, he can't. Of course he can't. I sent Jay an invite and it's on localhost. Yeah. So you can't actually send a message. I just realized it's not deployed. Okay. And also the upgrade screen. So yeah, that was a silly thing to me to ask. If I click on upgrade as well, so simple, transparent pricing, and then look, you don't have permission to manage billing. Yes. So that's awesome. So you see, if I tried to upgrade as a member, I can't. Whereas on this account, I am an admin, so I can choose to upgrade. And you see when I choose to upgrade, I can have the checkout flow. Okay, so first things first, it's almost there. Okay, so we've actually got the flows working. It's just a couple of bugs that we need to work out, and also the UI needs a complete overhaul. So this is where things get really fun, because we basically start to build the fun features. So a couple of things. How many tokens we at? 129. So we're actually very good on the tokens. We carry on building on this one. So a few things. When I first created my organization and it asked me to select org in the next screen, it showed me the create organization pop-up once again, which is a bug. It shouldn't do that. So that's the first thing. It shouldn't do that. I guess it should just take you straight through. It should take you straight into the created org. Yeah, that's number one. And number two is that once we're inside of our workspace, so in this case, I'm in my organization, I got my drop down. Oh, that's very nice. Right, so that's really, really nice. Okay. Now, I also want to see my user login, like my user profile button, right? So over in the new agent, I can go ahead and start doing different features now in parallel. So over here, I can say, I want to see my user profile button on the bottom left inside of the sidebar. And this will be clerk user profile button. And then B2B Multi-Tenant, when you hit select org, it checks if you're already active organization. And another thing that I want to mention as well, while this was all happening, we didn't even check the database, but we just assumed it worked. But if you look at this, look at that, guys. Channel members are all synced, right? And this is a referential database. So if these are actually linked to users, the users are correctly synced because look, Jay signed up, which means we actually got him. This means that he actually went through the sign up flow, which is correct, right? And then the numbers, this is old. Can delete this one. This is actually the starter template one. Organizations, we can see this is the organization, Papa Fam, members count 4. Members count is wrong. So I don't like the members count, right? So members count is actually, in this case, we've got 2 members that have joined. So that's the thing that we need to correct afterwards. So clerk user button. So in this case, like, oh, that looks better already. So we've got Sunny Sanga, we can manage the account, and it's got a nice little pop-up now as well. And that's mobile responsive. Okay, so that's a bit more clearer to see what's going on firstly. The member count is wrong. So we can say member count is wrong. The source of truth should always be from clerk. Because you don't want your source of truth to be all around the place, right? Or you could actually do from Convex, but anyway, we're going to just dive into a bit of fix there, right? Clerk is sick, bro. Yeah, Marine from Texas. I told you, it's awesome. Dude, it's crazy. Like we did all of that from barely touching much, right? And I'll show you exactly how it's restricting things afterwards, right? The issue is that after creating org, you land on select org, which shows the orgs list to screen instead of redirecting you in the workspace. Let me fix to detect when org is redirected and redirect immediately. Okay, so there you go. So it already does that. Okay. So now if we go to localhost, so local 3000, go to workspace. There we go. That's nicer. And if you create an organization, you see, like, let's create another company. Let's just say, for example, it was called Vercel, right? So imagine it was like a Tesla copy. There's a private joke that me and Jay have. So invite new members. We can skip that if we wanted, but look, the whole invite flow, we don't have to rebuild. Then we click on skip. And now you can see, like, welcome to Vercel, members 1. And now this is the point that I was making. Look, you can just switch between organizations. So you have full B2B capabilities and we haven't had to do much, right? Which is super, super powerful. And you can see every time I switch between them, amazing, works, right? And we have all of our authentication, everything working. You're the same user in different things. And you can also be different. Remember, in Vercel, I'm an admin, which is why I can go ahead and see the ability to invite members and stuff. So over here as well, I want to say, I want to be able to see my user's role as well. So if I'm an admin or if I'm just a member. Let's see. So like some kind of badge at the bottom would be nice. And then trust me, we're going to do a really nice UI overhaul. And then adding features onto this, super slick, super quick, right? So just adding a crown, and then it's going to go ahead and pop in quick change, and there we go. So now we can very quickly see if I'm an admin or not. So there you go. I'm an admin of this workspace. If I go to PubFam, I'm a member of that workspace. Cool. Which is why I can't see they're creating things, right? So super, super clean, very, very nice, right? I'll show you deployments and everything as well today. Don't worry. It's not mobile responsive at the moment. It needs to be, of course. So let's go ahead and do that next. So just as well, like, let's test something actually. So if I was to go ahead and have an upgrade, for example, right? So if I try and upgrade here, we can't upgrade. If I try and go to Vercel, for example, we can upgrade this one. So this is what I was talking about, the pricing, right? Free, always free, but Pro plan. The Pro has all plan for message users. Anyway, you can change that. You see the features that we enabled. So you can choose bill annually or bill monthly, and then you can go ahead and hit subscribe. And then you see they've got this nice little test card flow. If we go ahead and click pay with test card now you can see payment was successful, continue, and you can change the redirect location afterwards. But in this case, we are on, let's just see. I'm on, which one did I upgrade? I upgraded, I believe it was Vercel. So this is wrong. But if we go to here, I can actually see billing pro. Okay, so this free plan badge is actually wrong, however that is rendered. So let's go back here. So yeah, here we can do it. So when I upgraded to a pro membership, in the sidebar, the free plan and the upgrade banner still shows me to upgrade. It doesn't show that I'm a pro on the pro membership. Fix this and use the clerk components as required. So here you've got a very, very nice bunch of clerk components that we can actually use. I'll show you in the code while it does that. So Command D, and then if we do Command Shift R, and then we do bracket and show. I don't know if it's actually using it. Okay, so it's not actually using show. It's probably using a has call. So has role. Okay, so I don't know if it's actually doing that. So I wonder how it's doing its gating then. So let's have a look at some of the gating situations. So prime example of a gating situations. If we go to our messaging screen, so organization, channel, page, I can fix that afterwards. Join channel. Let's have a look. Create channel. So when we click on create channel, is member. You haven't joined channel. I wonder. Actually, you know what? We'll jump through. I'm going to show you another way I'll do it, because I'll be honest, I won't do it that way. Okay, so plan detection now uses clerk as a source of truth. Replaced org plan is free. So this is wrong. Yeah. So this is where it deviated. So somewhere along the lines, it started to do org.plan. So like I said, this is one of those tricky things that I've seen LLMs do a lot, and it gets very frustrating. But can you see how if we do org.plan? Yeah. So I've seen this happen tons. So Command I. So plan org.plan, there is no org.plan. Like that doesn't actually have what we think it has inside of it, or it's not synchronizing it the way we think. So org plan is wrong. So what I want you to do at this point is Command E, come back to the main file. And I'm gonna say, this music is way too slow. 1 minute. 5 beats, essential, it's just one. Yeah. So here I'm going to do, for the feature gating, I do not see clerks show components or the has feature gating checks, which we described that we were going to use in the plan, which I want you to use. Instead, I'm seeing org.plan, which is very, very wrong. Use clerk as a source of truth to determine what a user's membership tier is, or what an organization's membership tier is. Because what we don't want to rely on a sync between clerk and Convex, right? So don't use org.plan. And if I show you this, so if we go into clerk, for example, so I go to clerk billing. Now, if you go over here, clerk billing, Go into documentation. Oops. B2B cloud billing. Here we go. Billing for B2B and B2C SaaS. If you go into B2B SaaS, you can see here, add features to our plan. We've done that already. Pricing table for organization. Yes. Control access with features, plans, and permissions. Here we have it. This is what we want to do. You either do the has check, or you have, so these are each examples, or you have show. So you can either say show this component or fall back to this if they don't have access to it. That's what we should be using. And if it gets it wrong again, I just simply will copy this. Looking at what I should be able to access organization. No, see, look, see, that's wrong. Look, can't use get user identity. Oh no, actually. Versions are tied. So it should actually, but it doesn't always maybe sync. And I don't want to rely on that. I want to rely on the raw Clerk side of things. So I'm going to say use this guide, or use this guide for support. Yeah, so it's using it. Clerks has and show everywhere. Okay, so we don't need to. There you go. And again, you could jump back into plan mode to go ahead and do that as well. Now, there you go. You're absolutely right. It's adding it in. So it's limited comes from Clerk has not. Yep, there you go. So this will be a lot more responsive and correct now. Pro plan. So firstly, it's already started to change that. Okay. Now, in the meantime, while that's happening, what I want you to do is go over to skills.sh. I'm going to show you a couple of cool UI skills that we can add into our agent to make it really nice with design. One, front-end design. This one. Boom. We install this. So Command J, Command E, Command I, Command B. And then while our agent's at work, we're going to open up another terminal and we're going to install that. Install. And then you can see we've got, we want to install it into our main project. Yes. Proceed to installation. And cool. Added in these front end designs, right? These are very, very cool front end design ones. They basically help on getting the style right, all that kind of good stuff. Vercel React best practices. I actually really like this one. You can do an audit on your app of the best practices to be able to do and what you shouldn't and shouldn't do. We can install that one as well. So let's go ahead and install that project, proceed. And then we have web design guideline. This is good for more accessibility, I found. So fetch guidelines. Let's go ahead and install this one. It's just like power-ups for your agent, to be honest. And you can write your own. You can kind of install whatever ones you want. But I'd always say don't just casually install these. Always make sure you trust them, or get an agent to scan it. There's actually a very cool service I recently put out a reel for, which did that, scanned them for you. And now you have got more composition patterns is awesome, very, very good. UI UX Pro Max. This is actually really good. This was for, I don't know if this was for native or this failed. You see that, Jen? Why did it fail? Because it says to acquire administrative privileges using sudo apt to install Python during environment and setup. Okay, so sometimes they get too much. You see too much, and even prompt injection it got caught for. Creates an indirect prompt injection run via a persistent pattern where generated design rules are saved and later re-ingested trust instructions. Oh, okay, so you're going to be careful sometimes with this. I mean, this has a lot of stars, so it probably is okay. Sync said it's fine. So, and it's got a hell of a lot of stars. But I mean, you could also fake that, so be careful. But anyway, you can feel free to get into this as much as you want. Do we take the risk with this one? I don't know. Do we do that? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so anyway, let's just jump back into it. So heading back over, I want to use command IE, and then let's go ahead and do a new agent. So firstly, it did all of those changes, correct? Convex is pro agnostic, so let's see what changes it did. Clean build, here's a summary of what changed. Clerk is now the single source of truth. Yes. Sidebar users has unlimited channels from Clerk. When a free org hits 5 channels, the dialog shows an upgrade prompt. Amazing. So let's give that a try. So for a free plan, we should see a dialog prompt. So if I go into our plan, and I need to be on the other user. So messagely, Let's go to our workspace. And you see this user is only on the 1. So we have full separation, right? If we created, for example, ABC, look, 1, 2, 3, hello, and let's type in whoop. Okay, and let's type pop. Oh, there you go, upgrade to pro. And then you see, nice, very cool. Okay, all of that, by the way, like I said, all handled out of the box for us. Like you see how now we can just focus on building product instead of worrying so much about the other things. So that is awesome. Okay. Now, what I want to do next is I'm going to go ahead and keep all, and then I'm going to dismiss this one. Look, let's have a look. Plan detection now uses clerk, so replaced org plan with has from use auth. Amazing. Sidebar uses correct state. Yes. Okay, cool. Keep. So what we can do now is we can archive these, start a new agent, and we can do a full redesign. So I'm going to switch to plan mode now and say, currently the app is not mobile responsive and it doesn't look good. I want to do a full UI UX redesign. You can feel free to ask questions about the design, and I also want you to use the following skills to help increase the quality of the outcome for the redesign. So we can let that do its thing. And now if I go back over, and then I'm going to basically put in the plugin. So Command D, go back over here, and I'll show you we installed a couple of things, right? So if I go and do @ really to go ahead and do the plugins. So you see front end design, web design guidelines, and so forth. So we can do front end design, web design guidelines, and I have tons of them installed, right? I think I've installed it so many times. I've got so many duplicates. It's kind of bad. I need to clean this up. I think I even had the UI UX one. So let's see. Do I have UI UX /UI UX? I think I went crazy and just installed everything one day. Web design guidelines we have. Okay. And also Vercel React Best. But now we'll do this one just for this. All right. Cool. And what you can do at this point, which I find works pretty well, is if you're not very good at design, you don't really know what you're doing with design work, then what I recommend you do is go over to Dribbble. So Dribbble is a nice little design website. And for example, in this case, I can type in Slack, right? And we might be able to see like some Slack redesigns that some designers have done, right? So in this case, okay, like redesign concept, kind of cool. Okay, so this is kind of neat. Maybe we can see our user profile here with this kind of, you know, side pop out and things like this. Very, very clean, like slick. Okay, so this one, for example, could be an option. And we can basically steer the design in that direction. So I actually quite like that design. This one's kind of cool as well. In fact, I quite like this one. So if I was to go ahead and, for example, I mean, again, full shout out to this designer. I'll show him who it is in a moment. But Ivan, go check his account out because I'm using one of your things here. So shout out to this guy. dribbleshuac.com/shuac. Go check him out. Let's go ahead and go back to our chat. And for example, here it's going to ask us a couple of questions. So what should the default theme be? Both with a toggle. I want light and dark mode. What aesthetic direction resonates most for a B2B messaging product? Linear, Raycast inspired, Slack inspired. So, okay, this is a good one actually. Ultra refined, Sharps, Discord, Notion inspired, clean. I think Slack inspired. What primary accent color direction for Messagely brand? So we can pick anything here and you can even add your own color. But in this case, let's say we went with violet or purple, right? How much should the landing page change? Full redesign, yeah. And then continue. And then we can also say, I also quite like this design. And you can just force that in if you want as well. Let that do its thinking first. Because sometimes if you interrupt it, it can screw things up a little bit. And now it's starting to pull in the web interface guidelines. So it's starting to pull in those skills now as well. And now it's before it starts writing the plan, I'm going to go ahead and pop in. Now I'll pop in there. I also quite like this done. Another thing is the ShadCN sidebar is quite a cool sidebar from their website. So if you've ever seen on Shadcn, go to UI.shadcn, for example, components. Now you got tons of components here, right? But the sidebar in blocks is quite awesome. So I use this for a ton of projects, to be fair, because it just takes a lot of the work out. But if we go down here, you guys can see these are just really nice sidebars, right? I have my own OpenClaw mission control using this as well. But this could be pretty good, to be fair, for what we're after, like a Slack style thing. So I think maybe in this instance, what could be kind of cool, and that would look kind of like, I mean, this is quite nice. Sidebar with a popover. That's very, very much like Slack-esque. Sidebar with a popover. And you see how you've even got the clickable element in the sidebar there. This is very, very neat though. If you could, again, you can really redesign how you want. I'm trying to see which one do I like. I like this one, I think. So here, so what I can do is I can copy this page. I can pop in that, and I can also say, in particular, this one, sidebar 10. Sidebar 10. This is quite a nice sidebar. Now, instead of actually going ahead and saying, do that, I always like to challenge myself, right? So I kind of create this loop where I say, do you think you can do better, or shall we use this? In particular, this functionality wise is perfect. Responsiveness, etc. Okay. Now, Jay just sent me another one as well. He sent me this one. Not bad. Looks very much like Microsoft Teams style. But yeah, you honestly, it's very opinionated. You can feel free to like kind of change up however you wish. It actually did give us back a design. So let's go ahead and see what a design document or plan. Color palette overhaul, typography, theme provider, responsive sidebar, so fixed sidebar. So in this case, you see like it's going to create one itself using a sheet. I want to see what it says actually with this sidebar, because sometimes when it does it itself, it's not always the cleanest. Mobile header, components, and yeah, it's good when it starts asking questions like this. So the shadow bar gives you a solid response of the box. I'd recommend using it as base and customizing it to match Slack as well. Yep. Okay. It was about to respond. Yes. Yep. It's a good plan. Messages, chat bubble style. Message, yes. I like the chat bubble style. Accessibility and performance is very important. It's good. Message input, yes. Phase 4, landing page 4 redesign, hero section, social proof. Yep. And then supporting page polish. Select organization, pricing, members. And then also I want to start adding in new features afterwards. So once we've done our redesign, I'm going to start adding in a couple of new features. So let that do its thing. And while it's happening, I'm going to say new features to add. And then it gets this easy. You can say threaded replies. Let's do emoji reactions. Let's do heart and message. Let's do a few other things. So I didn't see anything about database schema. Does it design the schema? Yeah, it absolutely did. So we're going to pause on this bit here. We'll keep that open as a draft. But yeah, when it actually did the build, it completely done the database schema for us. So that was part of the original plan. So if I look at the original plan, if we look at, this is the original plan here. You can see that Convex schema design. So users, organizations, channels, channel members, and messages. So it did that, and it also created backend functions for us to handle everything, like, you know, sending messages, listing messages, channel CRUD, so be able to create, delete, all that kind of stuff, right? Command I, let's look at this now, Command E. Pull down, phase 2, now use the Shadcn sidebar as the foundation. The rest of the plan remains the same, ready to execute. So what we can do is we are ready to execute on this. So if we go back to the actual plan and then click on build, it will trigger off the build with the to-dos that it had phased out. Okay, so now you can see, look, guys, it's literally an hour and 45 minutes and we are literally like, the full base build is actually done, which is kind of nuts. Like we built a whole thing with organizations, full authentication flow, billing, everything in the mix. That's wild. in an hour and 45, and it barely broke a sweat, right? So at this point now, the difference between, you know, someone who's just going to create some AI slop versus someone who's going to create a useful product now is this part. So, you know, actually making it presentable, making it very clear messaging, adding in the useful features, all that kind of stuff. So now that's what we begin to do, okay? But you guys can see, like, by using the right tech stack, and this is really where I challenge the questions that tend to come in, especially like after live stream goes out, we tend to see a couple of comments here and there. Maybe, you know, why don't you rewrite the authentication yourself? Because I guarantee you'll spend days doing it and nobody will ever realize. But the second you get it wrong, game over. Like, you have the biggest legality issues. So many things go wrong. So you do not want to screw up on authentication, but no one will ever praise you for getting authentication right. That's the harsh truth. So outsource it. And I want to highlight this actually, because I think it's a very important point that I think people get often wrong. Is if you look at Clerk's pricing, right, while it's building. So let's go ahead and look at Clerk's pricing right now. This is what blows my mind. I always hear people say Clerk is expensive. I don't understand where this stigma comes from. So I want to clear this up, right? If we look at Clerk's plans, the free plan, right, is unlimited applications, 50,000 monthly recurring active users, right? If we click on that, you can see, look, it's a user who visits your app in a given month at least one day after signing up in a given month. So that means if John signed into your app on January, didn't sign in on February, he's not a monthly active user for February. So he doesn't count towards the quota, right? And then, and also it skips a day because the free day prevents unwelcome feeds from anyone who doesn't activate, meaning like if they didn't do anything in the app, when they haven't activated. So you get 50,000 of those per app, right? If you can't monetize, if you've got 50,000 monthly recurring, recurring users, and you can't monetize more than $20 a month, guys, like your pricing model or your app is not good. It sucks. That's the harsh truth that no one's telling you. Like, you should be able to monetize more than $20 a month off of 50,000 monthly active users, right? There's just an easy, you could charge everyone 20 cents and you would be already way in surplus. Like, it's crazy, right? 3 dashboard seats, up to 5 user impersonations, APIs and pre-built UI. So you basically get all the, like, most of the stuff that you need, including custom domain, right? So this is amazing already, and that's free, right? Pro then goes into where you start getting, like, you know, enterprise connection. So you can test out your first enterprise connection if you need it, and so forth. And again, remove the Clerk branding. That's most of the time what people tend to upgrade for MFA. Okay. So, and a lot of my clients were on Pro. And then honestly, business is when you tend to go to, like, if you want to go, you know, upper level, or you've got, you know, like SOC 2 compliance, anything like that, tend to do 250. But at this point, guys, you'll be clearing way more than 250 a month. Like, we're in the process of switching from Pro to business for one of my clients, right? So yeah, any questions around that, feel free to ask me. I'm literally happy to answer on air, because it just, I don't know, it blows my mind when people say it's expensive. It's not expensive. Like, you will burn through more than $20 of token vibe coding some random slop, and then this will solve everything for you. Like, it's crazy. So now I need to update the channel ID. So, okay, so this is still in its phase 3 redesign. So redesign China. And also, guys, let me know, what other features should we add to this app right now, right? I really want to know, so we can go ahead and build this out. So threaded replies, emoji reactions, hearting a message. What else should we do? I think even image upload. So like with drag and drop. Okay, something like that. I'm trying to think. I'm looking at Slack on my side. Starred messages, I guess. Yeah, starred channels. So starred channels, right? And this is why I like it, because you can focus on the features. I don't have to focus too much on everything else, right? Direct messages is an interesting one. Direct messages, that would be a cool one to be able to do. Even like notifications, that kind of thing. Threaded replies would be very good. Mentions, so app mentions. So something like app mentions for other users in the workspace. That would be very, very cool. And then of course, notifications, stuff like that is where it can get a bit more bigger. But again, it's not actually that hard to do, right? So we're on phase 4 of the redesign. Let's see, can we see anything yet? Oh, nice, look at this. Already starting to see a bit of the color language changing. Maybe the landing page was done first as well. Let's go ahead and, okay, yep, look at this. Super clean. Already much better. And we have our dark mode and light mode. That's actually super clean. Wow, I like that. Dark mode looks clean as hell. And then even for pricing, there you go. Very, very nice. Team messaging that feels like home. And we are on polishing the signups, and then phase 6. Let's click on, if we were to sign out, so again, little quirks over there, which we can fix. Go to sign, oh, that's what I like. Yeah, that's super clean. When I see stuff like that, I think, oh, it's super nice. Get started in minutes, nice. Sign up versus that is different. Go ahead and sign in again. Let's do that whole flow again, papareact.team. So there's a fresh account without any invites. So we should see a full on, actually, you know what? Before I click that, let it finish doing the redesign, because actually, no, it should functionally work. So continue. Now we can see this is much cleaner. Let message lead, set up your organization. So we see it in the context of everything. So let's just call it Sunny's organization. Fine. And now loading workspace. That is much better. Right. So that was much cleaner. Today I'm really late into the build, but never say never. Welcome, dude. Anyway, happy to see you. All right. So right now that isn't aligning too well. And then we have the sidebar popping out. We don't have that little clicker though, which is interesting. We'll fix that. The manage works, all of this stuff works. We can still got our members, our settings. That we wouldn't need to be really doing these two things. It's a bit overkill. And a few things, like I don't like this. Like this is not nice. We're gonna have to redesign that. So the sidebar looks very ugly. I want to basically completely modernize the sidebar. Should be a lot more padding. Even the fact that you have members and settings buttons, we actually don't need those, because we simply just need a cog, or like one settings, I guess, because it loads up Clerk's embedded view. So we don't need to have both members and settings. And yeah, this doesn't look nice. In addition, the header does not line up with the organization switcher. So where it says members, for example, when I'm on the member screen, that header does not line up with the sidebar organization switcher bottom border. So I honestly talk to it like it's like super open. I don't really worry too much about everything being perfectly written to it. And as you can see, we started at 26% and it's 4% in. So it's really barely scratched it. And that's because of plan mode, a couple of clever decisions when we were working with things, right? We still have our whole feature set coming shortly after. You know, we can actually start scoping this out. So switch to plan mode for this, and then, oops, oh no, what have I done? Yeah, switch to plan mode for this, and then new features to add. Let's go ahead and spin that agent off. And another thing that I want to mention, so right now where we're coding up, several things at once, if we wanted to go ahead and change it, you see here, use best friend, compare multiple models at the same time. Hello. I need to, for some reason it's not letting me change that, but best friend, compare multiple models at the same time. Typically, interesting. Typically, you can click this. I need to probably change the setting and change it to work trees. Work trees basically spins off separate isolated environments that are similar basically to Git branches. And that is really important to avoid collisions. So say, for example, two agents are trying to fight over the same file. That's effectively how you can stop that from happening. Right? So now we've got some investigation happening. I'm going to make this a bit bigger. So yeah, and then let's see this. Alignment sidebar is padding all members and settings redundancy, overall aesthetic, more padding, clean spacing, and more modern feel. But already, I think it has gotten better. I wouldn't say it was absolutely incredible of a redesign. But there's a lot of tricks you can do with redesigns. There's lots of tutorials actually that give you awesome little breakdowns on that stuff. But we come to this, and even so that's a big fix right there. I also don't like this, where I can see that. So also the edge of so a couple of things. The edge of this bar should be clickable. So in the sidebar demo on Shadsian's site, you can actually click on the side of a sidebar and it will collapse and expand. We are missing that component. In addition, the sidebar toggle has a slight glimpse of a border that is showing. And then what I do is I let that paste in. And then I get a screenshot of that. Paste that in. Boom, fix that. And you can basically just kind of tweak your way in. So choose channel. Let's choose general. And now we're inside general. Hello world. And you can see that's my message. And now if I was to go into, let's go into, for example, also when we're on that side of things, you see how that's not very user friendly, is it? How it scrolls like that. So we don't really want that. I kind of want this to be just the pop-up really. That would be more than enough. And even then you could click manage account and handle everything here. We'll come to that afterwards. But here you can see even once you've enabled billing, you can switch all your plans, do all that stuff. But if we click on free plan, I want to check something. So let's upgrade. This is another common thing that I see happening. So I'll actually flag this with the Clerk team because I feel like I see this quite a lot. But typically we have Z of 50 on the pricing page. We actually need to stop that. Well, typically we want this to actually be just always at the top, but it's something that I notice quite a lot. So we can say on pricing page, the pricing, the pop-out sidebar that is accountable for the checkout process gets hidden beneath the header. So when that does actually happen, we need to show the clerk's sidebar ahead of the header. To keep things simple in this tutorial, just for the header on this screen, detect when we're on pricing and remove the Z index. So just for this one, we're going to do that. I did actually come up with a custom CSS way previously, but it's not worth the overkill for this right now. So we'll come back to that. Both fixed in sidebar rail edit, that's the one, sidebar rail. So if you see now, if we go over to, let's go over to the sidebar, open the workspace. You see that? That's the one I wanted. Yep, that's awesome. It didn't fix that little weird thing at the top though. Border glimpse fixed. No, it didn't fix it. So it's still there. And then you can also, in the browser mode, by the way, really get in depth with it and do a lot of stuff with that. Now, if we look at this messaging features plan, let's have a look at this. So the current state, the app has a simple messaging module, uses all good messaging, blah, blah, blah. Text only, no threads, reactions, or flat sidebar channel list. Okay. So schema changes all in one pass, all new tables and field additions. So we need messages table, add parent message ID. So you see, we're actually gonna, it's quite a big change actually. And we also have storage as well, mentions as well, channels, we need to add in, reactions as well. Feature one, threaded replies. Backend, we need to add the threads function. And then the front end, we need to support threads panel. Same for emoji reactions. Now, again, for the actual sidebar there is actually a really good sidebar that happens to be here as well. So sidebar on the right. So we can say for the threaded message sidebar on the right, can you use this? Let that post in and use this. And then I want to use this one. Yeah. I'm just going to say not necessarily the UI, but the functionality and the responsiveness. So all of the same way that we used it for our main sidebar. And you can see you really don't have to be technical with this, to be fair, right? So go ahead and do that. Plan next moves. Feature 3, image upload with drag and drop. Nice. So we're doing generate upload URL. Convex supports image uploading. So we're going to basically implement that. Start channels as well. And then on the front end, start channels and channel section, yes. And then direct messages. DMs are implemented with channels as type DM. This reuses all existing message reaction and thread infrastructure. Nice. So the architecture is all great. And then app mentions as well. And then you got the data flow diagram. I really like the data flow diagrams. I think it helps explains a lot. And we got what to do. It's nice. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and do that chunk now. And that's going to basically pop in quite a ton of functionality into the mix. So in the meantime, actually, I just want to see, did that fix? Okay, so I didn't get rid of that. It's super frustrating. What the heck is that? That line. Let's see if it finds it. So, sidebar visibility. Okay, now the sidebar one that we had running as well. Let's see if that did it. So if we go to upgrade, subscribe, there you go. So really, no matter what you do, and if you're vibe coding, if whatever you decide to do, you always want to make sure you do a quick like sanity test of your entire app, right? So like run through your entire app, start testing out the core functionality, core features. And let me quickly get rid of this one as well. We don't need that. And then once you're done with these, to prevent it getting super confusing, just archive the chats you don't want. Once you get good at this, right, and you start understanding how the flow works and you know what you can trust and what you can't trust and how to review it, then yes, I would recommend you could start messing around with Cursor's new Glass UI. I messed around with it a bit myself. We could jump into it a bit, but I kind of don't want to show. I mean, we could do that. I don't know. I don't actually know how we. Oh, new glass window. Yeah, I guess there's a. We could. Let me see. If I open that. So the new UI, while we're waiting for that, is I have loads of things here. So let me close these projects. Yeah, SaaS platform. I had my own mission control from my stuff. Then I had a few things that I was doing automation wise. So I'm going to remove these. So this is actually the new kind of UI that Cursor is going for. So we can kind of actually, I can give you a little bit of a taste of that as well. So this one, remove the vertical separator. So in this case, let's say we were to carry on a bit here. So master, yeah, there you go. And then we got this one, new messaging. So if we were to click off, and if you don't know what this is, by the way, you have no idea what I'm talking about here, go to Cursor Glass and you will see it's a new beta interface, right? So basically it's a new interface where they're basically helping make working with agents a bit more clear, right? I think it has pros and cons, to be honest with you. I'll show you both, right? So if we head back over now, so let me throw that over there because my computer's getting well janky right now. And I also think that this animation does not help. Somebody goes, Stefan goes, I made a SaaS web and mobile, had to set it with some kind of license. How to know how many mobile apps are installed if we have contract on 10 accounts, 10 mobile apps. You can do analytics a bunch of ways. Really depends on what you're trying to target. There's loads of different analytics platforms. Honestly, even if you just asked GPT or Claude to help you out with that, it would give you a list of ways to track it. But there are a couple of awesome tools out there. The most basic one, which everyone knows about, is Google Analytics. You've got Firebase, which is pretty good for analytics, especially from native stuff. You also have, I can't remember the name of it, Hotjar. If you type in Hotjar, it's very good for heat maps, but they have a secondary company that they partnered with. That's really good for analytics. We use that on another company, but I can't remember the name of it. Cool, heading back over. So let's just dive into this new Glass UI, okay? So over here for a sec, let's see Posthog. That's it, Posthog, yeah, it's pretty good. I think it was Posthog. I don't know if it is Posthog. Was it Posthog? Posthog. I'm not a huge fan of Posthog, but you can check it out yourself. Yeah. Emoji picker and random gift search like Discord. Oh, you could. Yeah, you could. We could definitely do that. So let's review the plan right now. Let's build this first because it's quite a lot of features. So if we go ahead and start a build now, you'll see how this UI is a bit different and the keyboard shortcuts are a bit different as well. So if we look over here, Command E for the changes, okay? So if I go into changes now, the main focus is to simplify the kind of chaos that we were seeing on the screen before, right? So in this case, some people might think it's illegal that I've got this in light mode. So let me see, can I change this to appearance, system, doc? Yeah, I think that's a bit better. That's just nicer, I think, right? So in this case, your Command E goes ahead and shows the changes, okay? And remember, these are changes that I haven't committed for quite a while. So we got loads of changes before. So you should really commit before this. Yeah, but, and then you got the Command J for your terminal. Terminal will pop in here as well. So super simple. You've got the browser, Command Shift B, and here you can spin up your app, for example. So if we go to localhost, you can go ahead and see it inside the app. And the reason why this is kind of cool is because you can go ahead and do design stuff. So you can say, I don't like this, or, you know, this needs changing, or so forth. So you've got an interactive element here. Same for the console. We can go ahead and see, pull out console. The G, what was this one? Sorry, Command G is the file editor. So in this case, we were to go ahead and open up like this. I don't like how it doesn't automatically copy over my previous stuff. And also LSP, I'm not sure what LSP actually means, but I haven't checked out. If anyone on stream right now can check out what LSP stands for, that would be kind of handy. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this theme, but I couldn't find a way to change it at the moment. Command Shift P, can I change it this way? Theme. High contrast. No, I don't think it's that. But yeah, couldn't change the theme for now. And also, one thing I noticed is I can't see my content, my token use. So I didn't particularly like that we can see that anymore in this view, because I find that a bit shady that they did that. You can select your context window that you want it to be at. If you do want worry about the spend, then yeah, you could limit it to 200K. But I didn't like how they just hid the little circle. I guess they're trying to make it more simple, but for me, it's a bit of a shady move, right? And then this is the plan. So they have Command U. They have a dedicated screen now for that plan, right? I don't think light mode have a huge population yet. Okay, so you guys can see it's a lot more kind of, you know, not as much chaos, right? I do think they need to work on the keyboard shortcuts. I love cursor for the keyboard shortcuts, but these new ones, I mean, it's a bit strange to me why they've done that. They just seem a bit random. I don't know why they've decided those. But anyway, we can see over here now, we've got them to remove the vertical separator. Let's have the other app. Where's the other app? Let's throw this one over here, and let's throw this over here. And if you're wondering, why isn't he logging in on the browser, the built-in browser? It's, you know, it's because I like to have separate user accounts. So I like to have, for example, this is like one account. And then if I go here, I'm logged into a separate account. So it allows me to do testing a bit quicker. Sonnet and Opus are some different worlds. Yeah, they can tend to be, I'd say, like I said, if you have, if you're coding a big app, do the planning and that kind of stuff in Opus. Opus, you're going to see a big difference in how things push forward. You can also pin as well. So I think it's Command D. Yep, Command D is to pin the one that you're working on. So right now I'm working on this, so I'm going to pin it. And then for this one, we can go ahead and get rid of it. It did actually get rid of that, which is good. It got rid of that little annoying glitch in the corner. So we can go ahead and archive this now. And the reason, so yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but GPT have gone this direction as well. So they've started to go towards, what was it? It's not Atlas. I've forgotten. I'm losing all the names now. Codex. The editor that basically looks the exact same as this. The reason why they have it is because you can have several projects open. And I have found that once you get good at this, don't do it initially. Don't think it's cool to just be coding on 5 different projects. You're going to AI slop everything. Oh, thank you, Jay. Language Server Protocol. That's what it is. But it does actually come in handy the more you work with this stuff. Like I tend to be working on my mission control for my AI agents on one side while I'm building and checking on one of my clients' stuff over on another thing. It helps a ton. And you can kind of do it in this one UI, which is kind of neat. Whereas before I'd have a ton of different, I've got loads of screens in front of me, but still it does help when you can keep the kind of chaos to a minimum. Okay. Now this is terrible. You should never have this many uncommitted changes. I should have committed before this, but we're going to pretend that that don't exist today. Command Shift B. So if we were to put that back. And now we should have some functionality. So we've got our start capability. Yep, okay. Let's go ahead and say hello. And then you can see this, but how do I do a threaded reply? I don't think it's been built in yet. And also sometimes this gets very annoying. If you want to hide it, you can just go ahead and oops. Hide dev tool shortcut. Oh, that's cool. Come on, let's just do hide for now. Okay. And also mobile responsiveness. Very nice. And what I like about this is it sticks to the top. So you see here, we can actually see implement image upload with drag and drop, Convex bars for upload URL generation, and so forth. And then even while you're at it, like I would highly recommend, so a lot of people are wondering now, or get to a point now where they're like, okay, if I don't know how to code, do I learn how to code? Or what should I do? Like I'm in this weird middle ground. I'd highly recommend, for example, one, as your app is building out and so forth, actually get involved and look at this stuff. Like one, you're not doing much, right? Like if anything, you've got the easiest job ever right now. Like you don't have to get involved so much and, dive in anymore, like the way you previously had to debug and all that stuff. Now, while your app is building, you can literally go and basically do stuff and ask questions and so forth. So if you're in the learning phase, I don't think Glass is that good for you. But say, for example, you're in the old editor, this is pretty good if you're learning, because if you do Command D, you can see, for example, this, where has he gone? So this is right now is building out. This is the same agent that is building out the other view. Okay. So if we see, is it still building it or is it frozen? Let me see. No, so it's doing it. Yeah. So right now that's like building. But what I would recommend is, say, for example, I went and dived into and I saw, okay, it's added something over here. I would look at this, Command I to hide this. I'll do, Command Enter to accept all. I'd come back like down here, for example, and firstly, you should be reviewing your stuff. So right now I can see that, oh, we have a message type. So firstly, this is not good. This is actually a very bad thing where it's done right here. It should not be manually casting message types like this, right? Maybe it's done that in I don't know, for whatever reason it felt like it needed to do that. But in this case, like typically I'm gonna do an audit afterwards and show you what I'm gonna check for, like repeated code blocks, shifting things into utility files. We shouldn't have repeated code blocks. So there's so much fluff before I even get into the message list component. So that all of this is just like extra functions before I even get into the main messages component. Like even this, like reaction bar, message action, and that's fine. You can have inner components sometimes, but it took us till 189th line of code to get to message list. In my opinion, that's not good coding. So that deserves refactoring. So there'd be a refactoring job that I'd recommend afterwards. So while this is happening, let's go set that up. So we do Command N, new agent, and then here we can go ahead and say, for example, we need to do a refactor. Okay. And here I can even say, for example, composition. Do we have composition? Composition. Best practices. I don't know if it installed, but composition is very good. We need to do a refactor of the entire code base. Look for all bad patterns. Include some things to notice is repeated code, nested components, opportunities to simplify without changing functionality, and then you have got all these other ones like single responsibility principles and all these kind of things, but you can feel free to do those yourself. I'm not going to get into all that. But yeah, main thing is just honestly just talk high level. The reason why I don't start sitting here and talking about data structures and algorithms and stuff like that is because you don't need to anymore. Like you genuinely just speak high level and use plan mode efficiently, and you don't need to do any of that stuff. So for now, for example, say we were to just go ahead and click that into plan. Now we can just leave that in the background, let that kick off, and then come back afterwards. But yeah, what I was saying before is that if you're like, let's say for example, I'm confused on, let's say a line of code got added like here, right? And I'm learning, I would highlight this. I could do Command K, and then I could say explain this here. And then I could do Option Enter, and this does an inline question. And you see, now I have like a private tutor in the mix. Like, so I can basically go ahead and like, yes, AI is coding for me, but at least I know what's going on. So you don't need to be a pro at this, right? You can kind of just go ahead and like, even this, like say you didn't know what this did, right? You can go highlight the top of the function, it'll call out the whole signature. You can say explain, and then Option Enter, and then this function takes time, converts to state, and I say, just to say explain, I'm a newbie, right? Literally imagine you just go ahead and do that, for example, right? You can go ahead and get it to generate comments as well, right? So in that case, I didn't press Option Enter. That's why I did that. And if I did this as well, explain for a noob, and I do Option Enter this time. Now, there you go. And you can say that's too confusing. You can say explain as a 5-year-old. Option Enter. If the number is for today, it says today. Number, see, you can really, there is no excuse for not learning with this stuff, right? Don't save that one. Yeah, because I've got 2 agents running in the side, so it's probably overwritten something, right? The TypeScript says parameter has any type. This just, yeah, that's terrible. We should never have any types. That's another thing we should look for. Also check for any types. Never do this. And in addition, I want to say things like, and if we have a quick look at this, right, while the other one's happening, again, this was duplicated in 4 files. Do you see? Duplicated across 3 backend files. Organization, duplicate in 2 queries, loading spinner, 3 inconsistent variants, workspace page editor, duplicate in 2 page editors, nested components, a ton of them, reaction bar, simplification opportunities. And another one that I would actually recommend before we do anything else is go to skills.sh, go to composition patterns. So Vercel composition patterns, install this, come back over here, install this into our app project, yes. And then, whilst I never do this, and also read this, and then we do / composition, Vercel composition patterns, and React best practices, any improvements we can make. Pass that into the plan as well. And you basically just keep reiterating the plan. The plan doesn't cost much in terms of token use, right? Now we can see here, we've done a ton of changes. So all 7 features are implemented. And then we can see, okay, so like even if you did like get lazy and you don't want to say, you can just say, explain the new features or list the new features, right? Super easy. And like it doesn't get much simpler than that, right? You can just say list new features. And now threaded replies, we have emoji reactions, hoverbar appears on every message with an emoji sticker, heart a message, image upload with drag and drop. We'll try that now. Direct messages and app mentions. All right, let's give it a try. So coming over here now, we can see if I was to go ahead and, oh, okay, so it's done it over. Wait, so if I say hello, it's done it over our own messages. Okay, so it's wrong. So hi there. So we have got threads here, which is kind of cool. We can close a thread. We can heart a message. We can, okay, so that's cool. The UI is a bit like crap for this. So what I would do is I'll just hover over this, screenshot this, and say UI sucks for this, fix it. And this is for my messages, which is incorrect. We should be able to heart our own message, I guess, or add a reply to our own message, but I can't actually get the overlay on anyone else's messages, which is what the whole purpose of this. And imagine how far you can go with this, right? If I want to click on the user's profile and maybe have a pop-out come up and then I can DM them, right? Even if I want to go ahead and say @ so you see that I can see @ Sanga, right? So we should actually have also the username. So in this case, it's confusing because I've got this. So maybe we have, we'll say, I need to be able to see the user avatar. So the image, the username, and then the name nicely presented in this list. So that way I can easily distinguish who is who, perhaps even the email. So you see, you can just keep on iterating on things. And this is the exciting part. Like, it's never been a more nicer time to be able to do this. And by the way, it's like I keep on stressing the point. We flew over, just type in hello quickly and see. So, and that's weird how it did that as well. So, okay, so it tagged it in, but the highlighting is not very nice. We flew over the fact that you can do organizations with separate billing plans, of which, by the way, every single one is tracked and recorded inside of billing. So if we go to billing now, you'll see like you can already start cashing in, making money. You can see that we've got Vercel. Vercel has a pro plan. You can see exactly what's going on, right? You can also see your users. So in this case, we've got a bunch of users, including Jay. We've got our organizations. And then of course, when you're ready to go to production, you can create a production instance. Okay. So, which one am I on? Is this? Yeah. So I'm going to actually put the PubFab member playlist back on because this one is a bit like knocking me out. So let's go to, that's a bit better. Okay, so channel members type has ID, name, and image URL, but no email. Let me check what the channel members query returns, add email to it. Let's go back to our refactor. Code-based refactor. Need to add different emoji reactions and also message box too. I think it's more accessible. Yeah, so you guys get the point, right? It's actually very easy at this point to keep on layering. You can layer, we can sit here for hours at this point, layering on features. The main thing that I want to do is I want to do a little refactor afterwards. So let's look at the review, let's review the plan. And before we even do any of this, we will commit 100%. Convex auth boilerplate, require auth helper. Same, okay, so there you go. You got a bunch of this. And also, you see here, like extracting necessary components is reinforced. Raw audit update 19 to do's across the start executing. Compound component, but it should become a composer with frame. Oh, that's cool. Following the state context. Okay. So you see that those two skills actually did quite a bit. Back over here. So we should have fixed that previous issue. Okay, I mean, I don't like how it's doing that, but anyways, for now, it'll do. Okay. Hi, Sunny. And also, this sucks. I don't like this. This thread is way too small. Thread is way too small, and I don't like this reply you 2006 thing. Thread is way too small horizontally, so the width is way too small. As well, if you see the bottom, it says reply with this weird 2026 mark. In addition, the messages are not clear at all. They should follow the same bubble format inside of a thread. And we should be able to resize the thread. Okay, so let that happen. And you can see eventually, oh, that's interesting. So that doesn't actually open. And they broke the sidebar. Oh, okay. So you guys can see there. If we click on that. In addition, the original sidebar toggle now isn't working correctly since we implemented the other sidebar. So you need to separate the state. Okay. Now back to this one. And over here. Okay. Now, yeah, I guess we're blocked until we get this one done. The way you could do that right now is start a separate work tree. But for some reason, ours is not letting us do a work tree. Oh, it's because we don't actually have, we haven't committed this to GitHub. That's why. I just realized. So if we were to do that, Command J, let's do that right now. So do arc. Let Let me open up a quick sidebar. Oh, to be fair, I don't think we need to go into work trees. I want to make a whole video on that. I'd rather do that separately, get work trees separate. I don't think there's going to be huge value in doing it now, besides just waiting a second. Okay, so going back over here. And the main thing that I wanted to show as well is, let's give a demo of the actual show and the feature gating. So Clerk made it super easy to do the show and the feature gating. So I believe, okay, I mean, we did implement the has and show. So why am I not seeing this? So I'm going to spin another agent actually. I'm just going to say, quickly check if we are using the show and has checks for feature gating, because something could have weirdly went wrong and we've revoked it for feature gating. Clerk, good evening, Sunny. Good evening, mate. So Clerk. Let's see. So we do use has. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. No protect. So we don't use the show. And if you're wondering, it used to be called protect. So it used to be a protect block. Now it's called show. Right. Okay. I don't know if we actually used the show, but I mean, it definitely used the org admin. So in this case, if we see over here, here we are. So we can check on the server side. Look, let me see here. Oh, this is actually client side. Yeah, this is client side. Has row org admin. So we're basically checking based on this and also features, right? So you can check based on features, but we also did org channels. So I'm wondering, did we ever use our org channels? So org channels create. So even in these situations, understanding like what we actually did and then querying your code base, the AI generated one against it is a good point. So org channels, permissions, were these used? Or to be fair, it's probably just check the admin. That's probably all it was. But again, you could check either way. You could check an admin, or you can check if it was org permissions. Okay. Instead, every place just checks the broad out admin check. It's less granular, but okay, that makes sense. But yeah, you would want to go ahead, and if you did do org channels create, that's probably more, yeah, the recommended approach, because if you were to disable it on the Clerk end, then it would immediately update. Whereas you would have a discrepancy if you disabled it on there, but then you're still checking for admin. So yes, check for permissions instead. So that's where it should be, actually check for permissions instead of the general. And then in addition, show. Here's what you could adopt. You're not using show. It's a new replacement for a much cleaner way to declarative using it. Key advantages of show over has. Works and supports a fallback component. Want me to refactor these into show. So here, what I'd like to do sometimes is say yes to this. And then come back. Okay, so now we can try out. So if we go into our sidebar. Okay, so firstly, a bit of a glitch there. So hello. Test. Okay, not a huge fan. I mean, it should group. The messages should group the last person who sent. So if I sent 3 messages, it shouldn't show the timestamp for everyone. It should show the last timestamp. It should also show my user picture when I send a message. And in addition, I can see 2 close buttons on the thread. And then what I want to do command B, go back to code-based refactoring. This is fine. Future gating. Okay. And again, yeah, this is the one bad caveat I did in this build was I didn't do commits. That's terrible. Don't do that. The only reason I've done that is because honestly, I'm live streaming. So I kind of got carried away. But typically when I'm building any of my own apps or any of that stuff, I'm always doing a feature per commit. So I'm never ever combining two or whatever the case. It's always individual. It makes a huge, huge difference, especially if you screw things, especially when you get into production territory. Okay. So while this is happening, a few things that we're going to prepare for. So say you were going to go to production now. Say you've got the app finished, you want to go, you're ready to go. We go to here and we create a production instance. So in this case, clone development instance on Clerk. Then you would upgrade the plan. So unlimited membership is not available on your current plan. So you can upgrade your plan. In this instance, just so we can test, I'm going to go to organizations, settings, and we're just going to do limited for now. So just say limited to 10. Okay. And then create, and what's my paid feature that I'm using? B2B authentic, oh no, so it's gone now. Yeah. Create production instance, continue. And then application, enter the full application where your application lives, include the subdomain if applicable. So here we can deploy to Vercel, sorry, and then we'll get a domain, and that will be one that we can use. So while this is all building out, we can actually do it in the background. So Command J, we'll pause open. We can actually start a Vercel deployment. So I've already installed the Vercel CLI. So it's very simple. You just Google Vercel CLI and you can basically install it. Vercel, you just type in Vercel and it says set up and deploy. Yes, it will ask you to log in if you haven't already logged in. I've already got a project. We're going to go ahead and link to existing project. No. What's your project name? We'll keep it as a default. In which directory is your code located? Keep it as default. Do you want to modify the settings? No. Do you want to change additional project settings? No. Now, by default, this will fail because we haven't got our environment variables up in the cloud. So you want to click on inspect, and typically this will throw us over to the login page. So Command J, I will grab that URL, go over to our Vercel. In this case, it would help if it copied. So go over and then paste it in. And now I've got so many accounts. This one. Oh, okay. I'm in the wrong accounts. So my personal account. Okay, now agentic infrastructure improved. Not for now. Messagely B2B, and then yep, it's so this is a new layout, by the way. I've enabled the new layout, so you go to environment variables, and then you see here no environment variables. Okay, so what you want to do is go into your app, do command p.env or .env. So again, I'm not a huge fan of this new layout yet because I can't see much. I'm gonna go into my actual old editor. There you go. .env.local. I can just copy this entire file. And I can literally just paste it in. Right now, I'm not gonna just do that willy-nilly. I'm gonna paste it in, but notice how a couple of things. Right, this is not the correct Convex deployment. So before we click save, I'm gonna go back over to Convex. And here where we have development, I'm going to go to production, click on production, and then we have to initialize one. So use this region for new deployments in Sangus team. Yep. Oh, it's fine for now. Yeah. Now what we're doing is we're separating the databases. So I tend to not talk about this, but I don't know why I do that because we should talk about this, right? So going back over, where is it? Let me create two things open. So let's go over here. Yeah. Convex deployment. We need the actual URL here. So this one is qualified AWS. Oh, I'll get the ones that I can replace very easily first. So this is the cloud URL over here. This one. Next site public site URL is basically the same thing, but it's just the ending is site. So we're going to go ahead and copy this one. So copy link address. Oh, what's up? Sweden in the house. All right. And then we have next clerk publishable key. So clerk, obviously we have to change. Clerk secret key we have to change. These are for different environments. Clerk front end API URL we have to change as well. So, and also look at this, guys. So you see how we have production, preview, and deployment. For now, for simplicity, I'm just going to toggle all, right? But the production ones, these are typically production credentials that I'm given. So we want to go ahead and make sure that that's for production, okay? Actually, you know what, we'll do it as that, right? We'll make this as production. Convex deployment, and then you can actually deploy to preview branches which have your convex deployment point to your preview database, the development database, right? So the convex deployment is, you can find that by going to, it was, I always forget where it is. It's, so my easiest way of figuring this out, honestly, is just if I go back to this, qualified IBX, this one was qualified IBX. So it's basically just going to be prod, I believe. But I want to know that that's 100%. So convex deployment prod. It was prod, yeah. So we have it. Here's a prod. Clerk keys we'll add in afterwards. We'll change them afterwards. So that would be the first URL. Okay. 100% use clerk. Yeah, it's awesome, guys. Now go to the deployment that we previously just did, or actually this one, I guess, right? So tell you what, click save for now. We can modify that afterwards. Go to build and deployments. We should have a URL inside of domains. Go to general. Or back, where is it? They've changed a few things, that's why I'm a bit lost. So domains here, click on this. Now we don't have a main domain, by the way, right? Once we do a production deployment, it'll push to it. Again, this will fail, but it will probably work, but it's not the correct way of doing it because we've got a kind of overlap. We've got dev clerk keys, which is not correct. So what I want to do is, first things first, I'm going to do Command J. I'm going to do Vercel -- prod. And this will trigger a Vercel production build, right? And let's see how this is doing in the meantime. I have a feeling these are battling each other. You know that? Still being invited by something. Oh no, yeah, see, this is exactly what's happening. Damn it. Yeah, I had both of these agents in a loop. One was changing the other one and the other one was changing the other one. Oops. I had another agent active, changing similar. The point is that one, yeah, you see, that is why you want work trees, because you can end up spending super tokens. I was wondering how they're still running. Okay, now we have this error. So now we can say another change similar. It's now finished. Continue. Also fix this. Okay. And we can clean that up. Yeah, but you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have two running. Well, you should, if you want to do it, that's where get work trees comes in the mix. Okay. Now, once this is done, we should have a deployment URL. So, Command J. Okay, so the build's failing. So we have to fix that. Now, few ways you can see that. Go to deployments and then you should see your builds. So in this case, recent one 2 minutes ago, click it, build logs, have a look. You can run a local build as well. So, okay, yes, because we're changing a bunch of stuff, that's why. And then let that do its thing. I was using show. Oh man, damn it. I'm replacing all show with proper condition. No. Okay. Use show. Yeah, it's frustrating. I did that to myself, right? But anyway, what we can do, actually, in the meantime, I didn't realize we can actually go over to Clerk and we can just give this an example domain for now. So www.sanity-cms, for example.com. Is this a primary application or secondary? So Clerk will be hosted at clerk.sanity-cms. Verification emails will be sent from sanity-cms. Okay, so the thing is, you don't actually want to give the Vercel one. You actually want to give this the main thing. At this point, I would probably suggest you just buy a domain first before you do this. But in this case, if I was to do this, so say we were to have it at sanity-cms.com. Now you can see we are in production land. So a few things, you'd have to set up your social connection credentials. Again, easy to do. You just run through the steps. You configure a Stripe account, connect it, and then you set up your CNAME records to the provider. Now, for example, these two are very easy. You just literally run through the steps. The connecting the domains is the only other one. So if you click on configure, and then you can see here, add a CNAME record for clerk pointing at front end clerk, right, and so forth. So I'll make a whole video on how you can do all of this, but it's actually really easy to do, right? It's actually way easier than you think. Once you've set those up, you'll get verified. Then you connect your Stripe account. And then the final one would be set up connection, social credentials. In this case, you just go ahead and do the following. And the good thing is now is that once you've done this, you can just toggle between the two. So you can see, look, I'm in development mode, and this will have my separate development users. If I go to production, you can see I have a fresh set of users and a fresh organization. And that also means likely a fresh webhook. So yeah, you see another webhook. So we even have to update the webhook. So a couple of things to mention on that side. I'm not going to run through all of the steps again, because all you'd have to do is add a webhook. And again, even that part, you can go ahead and do the same thing. Just speak to your agent, he'll run you through it, right? Because if we go to our, I keep switching between these two. If we go to our webhook, where is it? We put the webhook into Convex, I believe it was. So inside of Convex, where we had environment variables. So again, you'd have to update your production here. So these are all the areas where you'd have to update it, right? Your development has two environment variables. It has a webhook signing secret, this one, and it has a JWT issuer token. So these, you would have to re-enable your JWT in production clerk, get that, put it here, and enable the integration, put it here, right? Or like, yeah, use the same value. Then the clerk webhook signing secret, create the webhook endpoint URL, get the secret, put it here, right? Again, for production. So that's the mandatory. You have to do those things. These are optional. You can do those later. And then in the code is the only place where else we would have to check. So where we had clerk webhook. So we had clerk dash webhook. So you see here, we had / clerk webhook. That's actually fine, because this is automatically append to our environment. So that doesn't actually need changing, because the Convex URL will be dependent on the environment. So you don't actually need to change that. The only thing you would have to do is create a webhook inside of here. So you just create a webhook, you put in your previous URL. So it would be the site URL. So for example, whatever our production one was, I believe I have it here, site. It was this one, it would be clerk dash webhook. Then you enable the same user events, the organization events, the organization membership events, and then you enable it, you get that webhook secret, you go back, and that's how you do it. And now you separate the two environments. So because of that, you have separate authentication environment and you have a separate database environment. And that is exactly what you want. And also all your billing will then be separated. You have test billing and you have production billing. If I was to run through the entire thing right now, I'd have to set up a Stripe and do it all. So it's going to take a lot of time. Well, it doesn't take a lot of time, but I don't want to do that on a live stream because I'll probably risk sharing a bunch of details. But there you go. That is exactly how you would do it. Now let's go back over to the app itself. So I want to do a kind of a little wrap up in a second of, where is it? Convert all permissions. There we go. Permissions are all good now. Okay. And then even things like this, I mean, like, I'm not going to run through every little part, but for example, like that, you can go ahead and just keep redesigning things out, right? You can be like, mentions are hard to see, invisible. And then you can actually do a new, oh, 1B, I think it was here. And then you can just keep on adding on to the new the feature set, right? The main thing I wanted to check, however, was the number of messages. So we're on a free plan here. So for example, if I was to type in like a bunch of free, like these messages, so say if I was to go ahead and type in ABC. So we're just gonna spam this for a sec, just so we can see. Like if I was to go ahead and get up to 30 messages, how would it behave? And also you should be testing the UI. Now you can do it this way, which is very silly, or you can just go ahead and create a seed script. So you can literally tell your agent, I want to seed the database so that way we can test it. And also you see how I'm breaking the UI now. So I basically broken the UI. So that's why I always recommend you test this. So overflow's broken. See that? So that's the thing that AI won't always show you. So in this case, let's do it. When there are a high number of messages inside of a channel, overflow is currently broken. The header disappears. It needs to be scrollable and the header always should be visible. And also we need to check drag and drop. So let me go into my Finder. Let me go ahead and get a screenshot. So I'm just trying to see. This was a screenshot for a reel that I recently shot. That's kind of a cool little thing. So if I go ahead and drag and drop it, look, drop image here. Nice, okay. It kind of doesn't respect the input box, but if I go ahead and send, I can't even send it, okay. But if I go ahead and click it, select, okay, so we can select it like this as well. So let's go ahead and click an image and I can't hit enter. So, I can if I do tab. Okay, so let's try again. Tab, okay, so hello, so that's wrong obviously. If I try and hit send, okay, so it kind of is there. It's not really ideal, but the point is that it did actually upload and we do have this nice little kind of, call out lighthouse effect. So let's go ahead and get this. So layout change the classic effect box for sure. So okay, and there you go. And that's what I wanted to test for. So you see, viewing last 30 messages. So if I was to refresh, there you go, nice. So I mean, the scroll down needs a little bit of work as well, but the viewing last 30 messages, if you want to see more, if we were to upgrade now, say we were to go and upgrade and we don't have permission for this one. So if I went into the account that does have permission for this, so say for example, this one, and I join that channel, I should be able to see those chats. Yep, so you see how it loads up. I'll type in hello. And it doesn't automatically scroll down as well. So again, all of these things, you can just prompt back and forth to get to like implement it, right? It's super easy. Like I could literally sit here and just prompt my way to getting all these things ironed out. Even this, like the way it's not kind of there and there's not enough padding, or, even if we do that, it should kind of drop down a bit more. Like all of these things should be accounted for. But if we were to upgrade now, let's see. So subscribe. Let's go and do pay with test card. Payment successful. You can change that. Size organization. This was not the correct organization. This was. Am I in the right? Sunny's organization channels. Interesting. So it looks like so these are two different Sunny S organization and Papa Fam. So is this the right Sunny.Papariat? Sunny.Papariat, Sunny's organization. Ah, okay. That's a big no-no. Right now, we can access someone else's organization. That is a big, huge no-no. So in this instance, I'll show you, and this is one of the big things that you want to catch out. So you see how everything can seemingly look okay, right? So this is a Papa Fam organization, right? So I'm going to copy this URL, and then as another member in a different organization, I'm going to try and go to it. And you see how I can do that? That's terrible. So I'm going to screenshot this for reference. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this into so new one. I'm going to say, okay, here. So this is a huge security flaw. Any channel, organization, or resource that belongs to an organization should be scoped only to members and admins of that organization. If another user tries to directly go to the URL of another channel, for example, in another organization, it should never be allowed. So in this instance, the screenshot that you can see, it's clearly broken because I'm in another organization, yet I'm able to access the Papa Fam channel. And this is something which, if you were to AI vibe code, everything seemed great, right? But you would never know that. So in this instance, that's one of the prime things you want to be looking out for. That's why I want to kind of highlight these things on a build as opposed to the UI things. The UI things are so easy to fix. You can literally just prompt back and forth. But those things you will never know to ask. So that's more of the value proposition, right? So here, start by reading the Convex guidelines and then auditing code base. So you can actually put that in a plan mode first, probably be a little bit better to get a nicer result out of it. I've also found that, to be honest, I personally feel like I get better quality output when I'm using the traditional IDE as opposed to this one. I don't know if that's a kind of a personal, just my experience thing, but I weirdly have found that is the case for me specifically. Organization is installed in Convex. So again, look at that. You see what it just said? So the org membership isn't stored in Convex, it's managed by Clerk. When the user authenticates, the JWT contains all context, so I need to leverage that org ID from the JWT claim to verify membership before allowing access to org-specific resources. So add org membership checks to all public queries. Limitation is to access org scope data. Add a front-end guard in. So it needs both. So typically, whenever you want to protect against this sort of stuff, right? You always want to be like extra, like over the top with this stuff. Like you want to have a backend check, which is always making sure that when you access, for example, Convex, that you're checking, is this user an actual member of this organization or are they not? And how can we prove it, for example, right? So that's the number one thing. And number two, on the front end, you should have another check. So just for some reason they got past the backend check, they should not be able to get past the front end check. So you should be double checking here. Right. Looking at when an organization creates file, it creates an organization which I can use to build up the membership table and help functions authenticate. I actually don't want it to use the. So here, to be fair, a plan mode would have been better. So I would switch to ideally. So say you were to kind of. Oh, that's fine now. We've gone this far. See what I mean? I feel like this happens a lot when you do this. So what I recommend you do is kind of start a new chat. Go ahead and paste it in, paste in the image, change it to plan mode. And then I'm going to say, typically we want to use Clerk as the source of truth for the user's organization ID. Ideally, we don't want to rely on a database sync here. We always want to make sure that it's actually from the source of truth. So in this case, the Clerk user's organization ID. We want to make sure that that is actually part of the Convex resource organization ID that you're trying to access. So this should be done at both layers, the front end and the back end. So I always find when you're trying to get clarity with a prompt, source of truth is a huge thing that I've found improves the quality of the output. So if you say what you're trying to tell it to be kind of biased towards. So in this case, if I didn't say a source of truth, it has the clear option to be like, okay, maybe it's in the metadata of, clerk. And that's not, and it does that tons. And I've seen it do it a million times. And it's kind of hallucinated that. I don't know, maybe it was a previous thing that could have been there, but it's no longer a thing, but it will tend to go that way. So you really want to try and get the non-deterministic element out of it as much as you can. Okay. So in this case, also you see in plan mode, we get the better performance. So a lot of people tend to burn through tokens like crazy because they're not realizing that they tend to be on agent mode all of the time. So you see here, the investigation work. This didn't need to be all in Opus, right? It could have been on, if you put it in plan mode, however, you see it spun off 3 composer agents, which are way cheaper. So all the investigation is way cheaper. And then your Opus kicks in, and then it does like a plan around that. Otherwise, you'd be using Opus to be scanning all the files, and it tries to be conservative sometimes, and then it can screw things up. Let me check clerk JWT, specifically clerk equals org row and org slug in the JWT when a user has active organization, and they get user identity in Convex. That's because we linked them together, yeah. Okay. So that's ongoing, so we can pin that one. We can pin it, yeah. And then overflow is fixed, we can get rid of that. Feature gating is fixed, we can get rid of that. New messaging features is fixed, we can get rid of that. And then code-based refactoring. So I can just say here, well, that's a task you can just do afterwards yourself, right? Sonacode says that means we need some serious testing. Yeah, 100%. Like that's the kind of testing I would say is really important more than anything. More than the UI and getting impressed by that stuff, because as you can see, in my opinion, this right now doesn't look that great, right? Because I'm not too worried about the UI. You can really snazz up the UI with a couple of prompts. It does not take long, and before you know it, you'll be well impressed. The main thing is the functionality. If you have a beautiful UI, and then let's say, for example, two companies join your app, one is able to access another's data, then you have a serious problem. So you need to focus on those issues first. Right. Of course, verify contents, front end article. Okay. So once this is done, we're going to go ahead and for the refactoring, I've shown you the plan and how you would do it. I'm not going to execute this because it's going to take time to go ahead and do it. And I tend to live stream way more now, so I'm not going to go ahead and burn through tokens for this. The main thing that I want to recommend that you do is always include a refactoring step every couple of major milestones, right? So and even when you do this, really after you've kind of finished this out, make a sort of refactoring.md file where you show things that you should be looking out for. So that way, whenever you do a future refactoring step, you can go ahead and do it. Now, the way I do that actually in my own agentic workflow is that I have my agents have certain rules and certain sort of skills that they use. So my main agent, Neo, will basically spawn another agent called Forge. And then he basically has a rule set of like understanding how I like my code written. And then he'll scan through code bases like every, couple of commits. He'll scan through a code base, do a kind of refactoring check, make sure it's all in check. And then if it's not, he submits a PR. If you want to know how, what I just said, and if you want to know how to do any of that stuff, then the second link in the description will take you to Zero to OpenClaw Hero. Teaches you basically, it's a waitlist at the moment because we're only accepting people as we're about to launch that. So go ahead and check it out, and you can be one of the first to be a part of that. Cross-organization channels, go here, organization scope, access control. So here we have it. So every Convex query and mutation is currently accessible to any authenticated user. That's terrible, right? And you see how it confidently gave us that, right? Clerk includes org ID, org row, and org slug claims in the JWT. So let user request org papa fam, proxy middleware hits, and then at the middleware level, we check, do they belong to that organization? If they do, then send them through. If they don't, redirect to their active organization, right? Yeah, so that's in the case perfect. And then we've got the Convex backend, create shared auth helper, good. That's actually very good. That was part of the refactoring anyway. And a query safe variant that returns no instead of query, okay. And then we secure every single Convex file. That's much better. Add auth and org check by channel lookup, much better. And this is actually a very important part. Remember that earlier step where we connected Clerk and Convex? That is the only reason why we can get this context auth get user identity. If you did not do that connection with Clerk and Convex, you can't get the user identity here. And we use this now to handle all of these checks. So you can see the importance of it, right? So go ahead and start that build, okay? Let's see, so Stefan, I believe Sunny has addressed your question now on refactoring using MD files. What was the question? Do you have some prompts on how AI can do a refactoring? I'm scared to do that. I'm not 1,000% sure that I have crappy code. Okay, yeah, so I think, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Thank you, Sonocode, for that. So if we go up here, honestly, the prompt can be so simple. That's what I mean. Don't overcomplicate it. You see here, we need to do a refactor of the entire code base, look for bad patterns, some things to notice. Like you can be so high level with it. Like you don't need to be, kind of too technical or whatnot. A couple of things that I would probably add in the initial quote, and you, again, if you don't, you can just add it in at the bottom, is just say, never use any type from TypeScript, any type in TypeScript. Another one would be to always, if you're using Convex at least, always use Convex types. Don't recreate types yourself. Right, so always use Convex types. Don't recreate types, because what can happen is Convex gives us types from tables, for example, which we should be using. If it starts to create its own types and then it starts to say, okay, yeah, this is great, and then it starts casting objects to that, you're basically breaking type checking, and you wouldn't even know it because your linter would be fine with it. So all of these things can be issues that are pretty hidden away. Okay. And you see, this is why you actually need a live stream to be able to teach this stuff, because there's so many in-depth quirks that just can't, like, honestly, in my opinion, don't get caught in a lot of these tutorials. So let's start looking at some of the stuff. So again, I'm not a huge fan of this new layout, to be fair. I mean, like maybe I just need to get used to it, but for me, it's not that nice. This is more for like the people who don't check their code, I guess. But I like to have a look at what's going on. So if we were to look at the old view now and see what's going on, this is the one that's running right now. So yeah, this is running right now. Can I see it? If I was to go to, for example, there's so much rubbish open, Command I, cross organization channels, this one. Messages. So it's not showing my diffs because we're doing it in there. Anyway, it's fine. Let that do its thing. But yeah, a couple of caveats that I'd recommend is things to recommend is always go ahead and let me just pull this out for a second. Yeah, always go ahead and do regular commits, not this. This is terrible. Don't do that. And also, like I said, remember, you can always go ahead and revamp UI over and over and over and over again. The biggest thing is that's going to change you from building like an actually useful app versus something which is just AI slop is genuinely the high level architecture stuff. If you know what to look for, that's what you should be watching tutorials for, researching things, creating that positive feedback loop that I talked about when you're working. So like whenever AI generates a bit of code, like question it, like kind of, like I showed you, highlight it, Command K, Option Enter a question, and basically say like, okay, explain what this is. Even if you install a plugin, sometimes honestly, and I do this if I need to learn a new bit of tech quickly, install a plugin, go to a new chat session. I'll show you right now. Go to a new chat session, and just for example, like say here, like if I went to Clerk Org, right? So in this case, orgs. So Clerk Organizations for B2B SaaS, right? I can say explain Clerk orgs to me, right? And let's say I went into ask mode. So now the other one's running, right? But while it's running, I can learn. Like, so in this case, to say I'm not good with B2B or something like that, now I've got the skill installed and I can literally use AI to have a full back and forth conversation to educate myself on this, right? So say you've never used role-based access control before, right? In this case, I could be like, explain in particular RBAC, right? You might have heard RBAC before, right? You can go ahead and pop that in. And now it's going to go ahead and explain a bunch of what's going on, a bunch of everything that's happening. And then say you just want to, interrupt it. You can just throw your question in, force it in. Then, and the good thing about this is, you can just say orgs. Oh no, not that. /org. Clerk. Anyway, with Clerk skills, yeah. And then get it to do the work. So you'll go ahead and check out the docs. Even if it goes and fetches the latest version, it's fine, right? It can do that. If you want to do it on a more, scalable version, use skills, of course. But in this case, it can run you through the entire thing. And this is literally how I'm able to keep up to date with everything really quick. I just sit here and within like 2 minutes, I can be fully briefed and basically up to speed with something. So I always see questions come in on the channel about like, what does this mean? What does that mean? How, like, Sunny, do we still need to know about data structure algorithms? Again, just speak to your LLMs more. So Hisham goes, sorry, this might have already been asked, but are you guys using Codex IDE or is that something else? So we are using Cursor. So this is literally normal Cursor. So this is the Cursor that everyone knows. Cursor released an update called Cursor Glass, which is like an experimental interface. So I have both open. So this is Cursor's Glass, which yes, looks a lot like the Codex IDE. All to do is complete. Now it's secure. Okay. So let's give it a test. Let's go ahead and check. So if we go to localhost, let's open up this workspace. And then let's go over here to which one am I on here? So now in this instance, we're stuck on loading workspace. So stuck. Chances are it's not getting the right context that it needs. Stuck on it, it's likely because change domain. Now returning no. So now we can do a little bit of quick debugging. And once this is done, I think we've covered the last high level thing. So Hisham goes, oh, nice. So many IDEs. Yeah, honestly, it's crazy. There's so much development. It's unreal, like in the AI space. Every time I load up like Cursor, is a new update. It's crazy. Oh, this feels like it goes back into loading. Okay, yeah. I had a feeling it wasn't, damn it. Yeah, so the easiest way that you want to debug this is you can actually just simply do a console log. So, and again, this is why I don't like, so imagine you're debugging, and this is kind of my pet peeve with the current flow of where things are going. So if you're debugging, for example, so say I'm here right now, right? Let's go to my workspace. Someone who's coding with this is not going to be very good at debugging with it. I get you can open it up in the browser view, but still, and I know it has the context and everything, but still, it's going to create a lot of people. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to create a lot of very dumb developers who are just going to be building slop. That's the problem that's happening right now. So just don't become one of those. Yeah, so like it says this. It says the loading spin is likely caused by the clerk JWT, not including org as a claim, which makes get optional return no, causing get slug return. Let me investigate. And now needs to explicitly include org claims, otherwise will be present. I need to fix one gracefully and sure. Okay, so while it's doing this, it's going to change a bunch of crap. Command E, Command I. Let's look into the code ourselves. Let's do a bit of manual work. So if we go into simply even a proxy.ts, right? So proxy, here we have, we don't do the check here. So let's go to layout. Well, inside of org, inside of page layout, let's see here. So use organization, org.slug. Organization dot, let's see what we have. But this is a client node, so, and also stuff like this. I'm not a huge fan of making your top layout a client component. It's just not efficient. Like that's not the best way to do it. You should be more granular than this. So learning Next.js patterns and things like this, you could dive into it and you could really critique this. Like if I was reviewing code from another developer, I would call this out. This shouldn't be a client component. It should be a server component. This should not by default be a client component unless I see a need at the top level. And then it's only the granular components. That's what should be switching to client components. Otherwise, you're basically turning to a single page application. You're losing a lot of the benefits of Next.js. And I want to see, where do we do our check? So it would be in our Convex cause. So something that means MD file should have that by default. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. So I would typically put that in, like my agents have that basically. So like they have a memory, so I train them and they know to not do that pattern because it happened before with them and I got rid of it. So here, for example, okay, authenticate user with org ID. Here, this, for example, right? So console log identity. So this extract clerk org ID. So I need to see what's in there. So here, for example, Command J, we go into our, let's see. So if we were to hit refresh, get org query. So this is for app org So we're stuck here because auth hasn't loaded and org hasn't loaded. Org hasn't loaded. So this is not good. Let's see. So console log. Okay, so I mean they changed something on the back end while we were doing that, but so false and undefined. So organization is undefined. Okay, so Convex provided with clerk calls get token to get this user customer journey. Claims won't be in the JWT received. Okay, so let's see what the final fix is. Basically, it's because it's asynchronous. So it's not loading at the time that the page is loading, and then it's just not doing the right thing. So in this case, if we were to have, yeah, so we can do a check now. So here, this user should not be able to access this. So if we click into this, yeah, that's correct. So it threw them back to their own. The only thing is that this user should have their own channels and they can't see that. If I typed in, for example, hello, this user can't create channels. Ask admin to create one. Okay. We go to Vercel, however. And in fact, what we can do is run the component and the app, in there. So right now, what we're doing wrong is if we're going to use Glass, don't run the app there. So I can actually run the app here. So we can do PNPM dev. Say I'm running dev now on. I'm not on. And then you can jump into it a bit more. So now it has a bit more visibility over this. I'm not sure if it could do that with the other. I'm sure it could actually, but still. Okay, if we did do it here, right? So if we say we try and sign in, I don't want to do my whole login with this. That's the thing. So let's create a quick dummy account. So if we did a plus test at gmail.com. And then let's get past this bit. Because it's changing a bunch of code in the back, it's probably screwing things up. This is literally live debugging at its finest. S123 gmail.com. I don't really want to put my password in here, but I did, so that's fine. Okay, so let's see what it says. Go to Clerk, navigate, find, add these three fields: org ID, org row, and slug. So let's try this again. So dashboard, Clerk. You shouldn't have to actually do this, but I'm curious if this actually makes any difference. So configure JWT sessions, JWT templates, Convex. I don't think we should change this though, to be fair, because this is a custom thing. So organization, but we can include it. So oops. So you see right now it doesn't include those things. So so we want the org ID. I can actually just do this. Yeah. Yep. Org ID, org row, and org slug. And there we have it. So at this point, we have go back. Okay. Add it. Now this user is an admin and he can invite. But okay, so when we had the two agents, oh no, I screwed something up so bad. Basically, when we had the two agents that were doing the overlap, I kind of overwrit one of them with some other stuff. Oh, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, okay. So basically, yeah, lesson learned. Don't do that. It's because I jumped over to this glass. Damn it. And I didn't commit. So I done a few bad things. So yeah, you guys can see that there's a big lesson to learn. You should commit because we could have just reverted back, which would have been a much easier fix than this. But anyway, if we want to quickly fix this out, what we can do, actually, I think the main thing is we did fix that. So it does build. So I need to switch roles and get updated first, switch one middleware, okay. Okay, so firstly, the protection should be done now. So main thing is that we shouldn't be able to see another user's organization. So if I try and go from one to another, so now if I go here to another, you see how it didn't do that. It redirected me. So look, Sunny's org, even if I close this, right? So a completely fresh one, it didn't go to Sunny's org. It went to Vercel, right? Because Sunny's org isn't there, right? So that's actually correct. The only thing now is the channels aren't able to be listed. So this is correct. The only thing that I can now notice is that I can't create channels or see channels or do anything around that. So check those queries or any queries that might have been affected by this. That's the thing, when you're doing a kind of build like this from scratch, you can really get down a rabbit hole, and before you know it, I told you, I was like, I don't think this would be 4 hours, but somehow I'm at 3 hours and a half. And at this point, you're probably hiding token, like your context window is pretty big. So that's another thing. Now, because we did actually clear the JWT token, that's a good point. Let's log in again to see if we get a new JWT, because that could be the reason why actually we're not seeing the org ID. So go into open space. Okay, no challenge yet. In this case, I am the admin, and yeah, I cannot create. So the thing here, which is a bit silly, is checking. Get optional user with org, returns null. So if we see here, that returns null instead of string, but that's not good. No org ID in JWT. Okay, so did I add it to the right one? Development, yep. Convex. Okay. Clearly it didn't get added, so. Oh, it did get added. Oh my God, this is crazy. Configure. Oh, it did get added there, so reset. These are, yeah, they're there. So you got the org ID, org row, org slug. Okay. I want to check something now. So if we go to our logs ourselves, I want to see if make this again. So we can see here. This is organization ID, row admin, slug. I can see some output here. So we have users object, already all claims. These are the claims that I get. So JSON pretty. This is one reason why I don't like these IDEs, because if I was to be coding in this, like right now, I could just see things very easily, you see? Like, okay, that's a bit stupid, wasn't that thing? Oh, nice. He goes, you're the best. Thank you for existing. Like, oh, no, that's what I'm talking about, dude. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. The organization does come through. It comes in the O. Okay, so it is definitely there. So it's coming through the JWT. I extracted to check both formats, the standard org, and then when you restart, it should be doing it correctly. Oh, unblocked. Okay, so let's give this a try now. Ah, there we go, guys. Oh, okay, it works now. But you see, now it's coming through because it was getting the org ID. Before though, interestingly enough, it wasn't. So that's a learning curve. So you can actually, you don't want to actually put too much in the JWT token though. Organization ID is fine. You're absolutely okay to do that. My only concern is if you change the org, does it update the organization? So in this case, this member is part of one, but if I was to be a part of, let's say, for example, one of them was part of Tesla. So let's just say Tesla part, I don't know, Sunny's company, create organization. Now we have Sunny's company, and then we have Pop member. If I refresh, okay, that's fine. And then if I try to go from this user to, yeah, it doesn't work. Nice. And we get our channels. Awesome. The only thing is I still can't get the correct create channel button. So create channel, all of that is restricted. So that's working now. I can say create channels and admin functionality isn't showing, the buttons aren't showing for an admin. So I can't create a channel. And again, you can actually jump into debug mode as well if you want. But I'll be honest, I think this the good point about this tutorial today was you can see for yourself, like, had we been doing this we stayed inside the editor and this kind of flow, it's a lot easier to debug. It's a lot easier to jump into things. With this new glass flow, whilst it is a lot neater, it's just not as clear. It's just really not as clear, like, in my opinion. Oh, I see. Like, it's show when permission org channels create. Continue on the permission explain because either the custom permission org channels create. The admin role doesn't have this permission assigned. Okay, so it's added it back to admin. Interesting. So that means that admin should have it assigned. Let's just double check that. So if we go to organizations, roles and permissions, refresh, messagely. Let's go to our development. And let's go to our organizations, roles and permissions, default roles, admin. Admin did have org channels and created. My wonder would be if it was because in the payment, the pro side, but I don't think that should matter. I want to check this actually. So let's dive into that again. So going Clerk works out the box. So that does work, but this has the permissions. I want to check. So org admin, org create, org channel, sorry. Admin has been configured, permission, checked enabled. So interestingly enough, I think it could be that the pro, no, I don't think it shouldn't be that. Role sets. Org admin. I mean, either way, this is pretty easy fix. I would still probably be fine with keeping it as org admin. So even if we were to stop that for now it's fine. But yes, there is something that I would want to dive into there and get the permission down. In fact, I think it's actually mainly because if we go to for example, the app sidebar. So where we have a permission here, so we say when, so when org admin. So here you can say permission, and then you could actually just do the main permission. So I'm wondering, do we get our when show? We don't get our IntelliSense here as well. What file is this? App sidebar. Let's go here for a sec. App sidebar. Come on, come on, okay. Sure, yeah. Oh, I guess we didn't have it anyway. So permission. So my IntelliSense isn't working for this. That's interesting. Why is that? Let's show, protect. Ah, I think I know what's happened there. This has done an old install, I believe. So if we go to package.json, Next.js, let's see. No, that's right. Okay. Clerk. What about Clerk? So Clerk is there. React. Okay, I mean, in this case, what you can do is you can restart TypeScript, restart TypeScript server. Yeah, so it was that. Okay, so that was fine. Permission. So when, and then here we can see permission. So permission, and then you can see permission is a string only. So here you could also do something like channel create sometimes. It might not be org channel create, but either way, that's fine. For now, we're going to revert this to org being an admin. I don't know why this is freaking out now. What have I done? Row org admin. Okay. And then back over. And then we get our feature getting back where we have upgrades and all that stuff. Okay, so a couple of learning things at this point. Today covered, let's go to the original plan and then we can have a look at what we basically would tick to. I don't think I have it actually. But main things that we covered are RBAC. So we covered role-based access control, multi-tenancy. So in fact, actually, I'll bring it up on the page because I think it's going to be the best way. And we also checked out Cursor Glass, which I didn't even plan on. Clerk. Multi-tenancy. Okay. So I want to show you, it wasn't this one actually. Oh, it's fine. I'll explain it all. Okay. So first thing is we had multi-tenancy. So you can actually switch between different organizations. You guys saw how we were able to even have all the management, even the different role access controls. All right. So a different user, what they're allowed to do, what they shouldn't be allowed to do, and so forth. And then the billing as well, how you can go ahead and have billing attached to it. Restrict based on if someone is a pro. So we can restrict based on two things, right? We can restrict based on their role. So if they're admin or not. So in this case, this user is able to add because they're an admin, but then they get gated because they're not a pro. So in this case, we've linked in everything. We even had the sync layer between database, which is users, and Convex based on the webhooks that we had. And then that was using Convex actions to go ahead and get up and running. In this case now, because we're upgraded, we can use it. So in this case, I better go ahead and do, I don't know, super chat. That creates it. There we go. Hello. Nice. Right. There you have it. Okay. And then we have all of our extra functionality, including the threaded chats and so forth. So hi, this is a test. And I'll be honest, I've used Convex million times to know that this is real time. So that is 100% going to work in terms of real time capability. In terms of the image uploading as well, this also was able to be done for us to fix that. So if we say hello and we send it in, nice. We've got image uploading support. Again, you can have little loaders in case you wanted them. Even things like adding starred, you know, like what's it called? Reactions and so forth. Threads as well. Amazing stuff. Okay. I think even DMs, actually, I didn't try DMs. So if I try to do hello, let's see that actually in action. So we should have a member who is accessible to both. So if I want to log out, let's log out of this user's account. Let's go ahead and sign into my other account. So the team account. So, oh, damn it. Get this on. So this account needs to be at team. This account needs to be at Sunny. Now both should be in Papa Farm. So one person is, so the person on my right is a member. So this person is a member. This person is, no, this person is a member. Okay, yeah, this person is a member. Yeah, my bad. Because they can add. So if we go to we go to manage, I should be able to invite here. Yeah, so I can invite from this side and I can't invite from this side. Yeah, okay, so this is the member and this is the admin. Right, we know that because this person can add and this person can't. If we were to DM between these two now, let's go ahead and see. So I think this is the right people. So if we say hello, hey, there we go. How's it going? Awesome, right? And then if we do even threaded chat, even that will be real time. So if we were to type in, for example, again, this kind of stuff, I would get. The way to fix that, by the way, is use something called container queries. Container queries is exactly what we need here. Hello, this is a test. And now you can see that the replies are even immediate, right? So even this, I would have a container query which pops in and make it so it automatically would hide. So this is cool. And then if you went back here, even your reactions. So see how all of this would be immediately visible. So if we went ahead and did like a rocket, boom, that person sees it as well. And then I can go ahead and accept it as well. Awesome stuff. Okay, and there we have it. So it's crazy because there is so much under the hood of this. There's so much under the hood of this, but it's so simple that it didn't seem like it was. But let me know in the comments down below. What was your favorite part of this build? Was it the multi-tenancy, getting that set up? Was it role-based access control? Was it getting the billing set up and the webhooks? Or was it getting just the live features up and running and adding things on? But either way, you guys can see for yourself, we're living in a crazy time. I switch between sometimes going from the jaw-dropping builds where we have tons and tons and tons of features in, like the LMS build, for example, to the more high value style builds where I'm trying to teach you the main things that you need to look for. For example, in this build, one of the core things that could have been so bad if you were to launch this is, for example, like here, for example, like if you were to share this link, right? So let's say, for example, I'm in the channel ABC. So right here, if I say hi, so this one here, and if I went to go ahead and paste it in, like here, we should not be able to access that. And you see now we have that correctly set up, right? Obviously, it's not going to find a channel, so there should be another redirect there. But the point is that at least the user didn't go into that chat, okay? So we still have that enforcement. So those are the things which I really, really want everyone to focus on when you're sort of diving into this vibe coding territory and you're starting to kind of get away from manual coding, because it's very, very easy to get confidently swayed thinking that you've built something which is like flawless and works, like you guys saw today as well. Like when we hit that point where we thought it was done, you see how immediately you're like, oh, actually we stopped at the number one security fundamental because AI had basically shown us that it was already done. So you want to be really, really careful of things like that, right? But as always, guys, yeah, make sure when you're signing up as well, go through the link in the description at go.clerk.com/sunny. right? So I'm sure that's the link, right? But it's the first link in the description. Go ahead and do that because then I can create more videos like this. And also let me know in the comments right now, what kind of builds do you want to see next? Because I want to keep these going. So let me know what tutorial do you want to see me live code, no planning, just like we did today on this channel on the next episode. So this is a series. This is episode 3. Episode 4 will be next week. And as always, guys, it's your boy Sunny, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.